landlubbers, it's me, your Captain Vasco speaking. I'm not doing well. I hope you aren't too. It's really important for me to emphasize the T in that. I hope you're doing better than me. I'm not. I'm doing equal me, same to me. There's I don't know. We didn't really accomplish much last week on Murder by Numbers. I worked really hard, and it didn't seem like I did because I spent like an hour on that one puzzle. No, that's not true. When editing last week's stream to put up on YouTube, I approximated that I spent about 20 continuous minutes without making measurable progress in the last puzzle. That's like a lot of minutes for that to be true. Literally like scrubbed through the timeline and the puzzle basically doesn't change. There's a brief window where I put in some like purple squares to see if I can do, and I can't. So basically no progress in all that time. We hope that doesn't happen today. It's because you're discussing awesome TV shows. No, and we should talk about TV shows again because I did watch 1899 since last week and learned things about it that are of some interest to me. And also I watched a new anime that I recommend, and I imagine absolutely none of you will watch, but I will talk about it anyway. But yeah, so in terms of what the actual plot was, we started by going to the police station to get the police decoder so that we could decode the radio signal. It's only occurring to me in this particular moment right now in real time how genuinely dumb it is that like the police had a decoder that would solve our problem. Why would that object exist? Why would the police have it? Why would whoever's on the other end of the radio be using a thing that the police can... I just don't understand. One of the faces of Groot is a raccoon. That is true. That one's the angry face, because it's Rocket Raccoon. By the way, dating this live stream, which I haven't yet done, it's Friday, May the 5th, 2023. The Revenge of the 5th, as it were. But rather than focus on the Star Wars connection, it is the release date of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which, in all honesty, I probably won't see for like 3 months when it finally hits Disney+. Because the last movie I saw in theaters was Cats. Because I don't go places because of the pandemic and my concern of luck and health and things. Hey, let's not dwell on that. So what do we do, like, after getting the decoder? I honestly don't. Let's just, hey, game? You and me, let's game. What's the most recent one? 2112? Is that the right? No. What? Wait, what happened here? No, that's correct. My brain just isn't working. It's a great time to try puzzles, I think. So what else, like... Alright, the only way to, like, see what things are in my inventory is to, like, talk to someone about it. So when we start puzzling, we should talk about TV shows. I also want to talk to you about this air conditioner. I really do. What did I choose to see, Cass? That's a reasonable question, Echo. We'll start there when we get to puzzle. I'm not sure how long that's gonna take. Hello again, Honor. You look... different. Okay, that's immediately creepy. I just wanted to see what... Okay, so we decoded the message, and it, like, gave us a cipher that pointed to, like, a film reel. And then we found, like, a name in it that was suspicious, and so we went to investigate the name in the form of looking at a Rolodex, which didn't have the name in it. It was a very good clue. So now we're trying to figure out if that's like a alias or a code word or something. That's where we're at. Do you know anyone by the name A. Art Jansen? I don't know why there's so many, like, unnecessary, like, double sound names in this case. No. What do you mean I look different? Someone who is lost is often difficult to find. even if they want to be found. Many are overwhelmed by fear and swept away. When they open their eyes, they find themselves alone, cut off from their past, and lost to their friends. But sometimes the lost are able to find inner strength and perform a limit break to become a beacon in the dark. They take the place where they were at their most hopeless and turn it into a new harbor. I got nothing. You were lost, Honor, but now you have found your way. That makes you different. This character's very upsetting to talk to. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't actually know the next thing to do. She sounds like she's reading from a script of Kingdom Hearts. That is true. That is exactly what that sounds like. I gotta tell you, I really want to like Kingdom Hearts. And, like, I've played a few Kingdom Hearts games and enjoyed them, but, like, the more Kingdom Hearts they make, the worse Kingdom Hearts gets. And not in the traditional sense of just, like, they're phoning it in or, like, making changes to the mechanics I don't like. The story is just, like, incomprehensible. Detective, we have a new lead. I'm gonna question him in the form of telling him my new lead. Well, you gonna tell me about that new lead or what? You just said that and then stared at me blankly until someone hit the next advance key to continue the game. We did the code. It all leads to a frame from one of E. Iron's films. Okay, let's see it. Fine. You're so needy. Here it is. Does A-Art Jansen mean anything to you? I think I saw it in a furniture catalog once. It's probably at IKEA, or maybe Fjordgruppen, where all the furniture is interlocking and stackable. 10 million internet points to anyone who understands that very specific reference. It's a person. They worked on one of E. Iron Kaino's films. That radio transmission pointed us right to their name. I don't know why. Do you know why? I'd suggest you head down to the station and see if we have a file on them. If you're lucky, you'll get some answers. If not, I don't know, we'll probably just blindly assume someone's the murderer and then see if that works out. Will you radio ahead like before? Even I can't get the LAPD to just hand over a file to civilians. You'll have to hack into the database. And you're okay with that? No, but you obviously are, so I might as well get used to it. I mean, I have a lot of problems with this. Not the least of which, in fact, the most of which being that I don't like the hacking mechanic in this game at all, and so I'm about to have a bad time. Alright, let's go to the police station, I guess. It's not even gonna be a real puzzle, which is a nuisance. Why am I just, like, pressing every button that isn't map? City map. Police station map. Okay, the coast looks clear. Hey, okay, beyond my... It's not great that the detective is, like, totally cool with us hacking their mainframe and, like, stealing their stuff. But, like, also, how is it that there's, like, constantly no one in this police precinct? I mean, like, you might as well not even lock the computer at that point. It just, I don't know. I mean, the files are in the computer, right? I could just take them. Because there's no one here. Alright, let's check the database by doing a thing I hate. What if someone catches us? I'll just tell them that we're smart, good computer-make-go people. We're here to fix the parallel memory processors and align the flux contrometer. That is not a real thing. Yeah, but, like, they don't know that. Everyone's dumber than me, I presume. We gotta get the file, so, like, go do it. That'll be as quick as possible, taking many, many attempts, because this is a bad minigame. Minigame Starro. Alright. Oh, nope. For some reason, I was thinking this is a 4x4 grid, and immediately ruined my chances at doing this in one shot. That sounds like me. Go me. So that's done. This isn't. This isn't. 3 and 1. 3 and 1. God. So this has to be 2. This has to be 2. This has to be 3. Wait. Oh, that's 2 total. Whatever. Just start me over. I can't. I can't. You cannot listen. You don't have the ability to make me care about these. This minigame is so bad. I don't like it at all. 0% to like. So that's a 2. What do I still need? This. And this, apparently. 1 and 1 and 1 and 3 and 1, and this is 1 and 3, and this is 5. This is 1 and 3, and this is... This has to go like that. That has to be there. This is 5 down. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 3 and 1. This has to be filled in. This has to go like that. This has to be filled in. This has to be filled in. 2 tries is pretty good for me. Also, I still hate that minigame. I'll never not hate it. I'm in. Scanning police records for Jansesen, A-Art. 1 match found. It's not an... It's like a real name? The file is almost empty. No picture, no contact details, just the name. Very helpful. Might not even be the right person. There's one other piece of data. A court record. Mr. Jansesen filed a lawsuit 3 years ago against Iron Kino. Now we're talking. What was the claim? Theft of property. It seems the case was settled out of court, but most details have been removed from all records at the request of Iron's defense attorney. We both know who that defense attorney was. Come on, I want to know what Iron has to say about all this. We did specifically ask her to her face if she knew that person, right? And she was just like, no. You lied. We found court records that say he filed a lawsuit against you. The mind is a difficult thing to grasp. Can you say for sure who and what you know? There's no point in lying to us anymore. No point? Then I'll be blunt. I had forgotten him. It was not my first day in court, nor was it my first rodeo. I know the specific dates on which both of those things occurred. I weather these storms the only way I know how. I rise above them. Violent waves do not disturb the flock of birds. Except you didn't rise above it, right? Just made the problem go away. And I'm sad that it came to that. I liked Crafts. He had such a strong distaste for life. I found it enviable. His name is Art, so she must call him Crafts, I presume. Crafts? Who's Crafts? You said, like, Crafts. What do you mean? A certain style. Monica's the name. After all, what are labels between friends? That was, like, less helpful than saying nothing at all. Mabel, style, Monica. Monica? Honor, I get it. Crafts is a nickname. Very good. Maybe you'll solve this after all. I get it. Arts and crafts. He was a talented prop master. If it didn't exist, he could make it. That's a kind of magic, don't you think? You're gonna have one more look through that Rolodex. But you said A.R. Jansen isn't in there. Maybe not under that name, but what about under crafts? There is a card for crafts, and it has a telephone number that I hope is still in use. Ugh, trauma. Hi, is that A.R. Jansen? I'm calling about Iron Kino. Wait, don't hang up! I'm a detective and I need your help! You should, in this case, I feel like you should definitely lead with, I'm a detective and I want to get her in trouble! Well, it's implied that it took a little convincing, but then he heard I was a cop and it's fine. So what did he say? After filming wrapped on the Elm of Scotswood, a bunch of props went missing. They blamed Aart at first. It nearly ended his career. But then he caught E. Iron leaving the set with a box full of stuff. He couldn't believe it. She was just going to let him take the blame. That would explain the lawsuit. Props used in filming can fetch a high price on the black market. Except they were never sold. Ray paid Aart to withdraw the case, and no one ever found out what E. Iron did with the missing props. Which, by the way, included 200 clay skulls. Clay skulls? Like the ones we found? Nah, they were a different color. They weren't like these at all. Exactly, which means we have a direct link between E. Iron Kaino and those diamonds! Let's go tell Detective Cross. No, let's do a puzzle or something. Good news, we managed to contact Aart Jansen. Remember those clay skulls? E. Iron stole them. Which means she almost certainly knew what they were being used for. Speaking of which, I just got off the radio with headquarters. They found the buyer for those diamonds. How did they do that? Based on, like, what did they do that? You did something completely implausible? Remember the GPS you found? They thought it might have been Mal's escape route. Yeah, I guess we were wrong about that. Well, I asked headquarters to check out those coordinates anyway, and they found a boat waiting there. Coast Guard had to chase them halfway around Santa Catalina, but they caught them eventually. Turns out the captain had a warrant for their arrest. Let me guess. Smuggling? Exactly, and get this. They were the ones transmitting that coded radio signal. Does that make sense? I'm not sure that makes sense. Like, what is the purpose of the radio signal that tells the recipient on this boat, like, a coded clue to reference, like, a person's name in, like, a single film cell on a reel of film? Like, if... Did they not know what thing they were going to smuggle? Like, they had to, like, order off a secret menu of, like, film credits? Like, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. Like, wouldn't they have agreed upon, like, yeah, it's like a bunch of diamonds? So they were trying to make contact with the Anemone in the most confusing possible way. Seems like this whole darn party boat was just a cover-up for a diamond deal. Let's go find E. Iron. She can't talk her way out of this one. Well, except we, like, left her alone for 5 seconds after, like, figuring out she did crimes. The smuggler was just trying to send clues to have someone solve nonograms. I mean, like, you're right, and I think that's why I'm mad. Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, it lets the game happen, but it doesn't make any, like, logical sense. Hello, Honor. Have we arrived at the climax of your story? You're wearing an expression of certainty. And you're certainly about to be wearing a pair of handcuffs. See what I did there? Someone high-fived me very quickly. Have you cracked the case at last? I would very much like to hear your conclusion. Well, she didn't steal the diamonds from Aart. I mean, it's diamonds. They're smuggling diamonds using the clay skulls from Aart Jansen. A fascinating theory, but I know nothing about diamonds. Who would I sell them to? Black market smugglers. The Coast Guard found them right where the Anemone's GPS indicated. We organized the whole boat party to have a reason to go there. But there were many people at the party. Any one of them could have arranged to meet these smugglers. No, they were transmitting a code word that only you would recognize as important. Elm. I understand the implication, but this still just seems bananas. This feels like it just can't make sense no matter how they try to massage this. Part of the title of one of your films, which we found a copy of right here on the boat. And when we examined the film, we found Aart Jansen circled, and the same Aart Jansen who you stole the skulls from. It's all connected, I promise. Well, how convenient. You've done very well, but there's still one more important question, Honor. Why? Look around you. I have more money than I need. Why would I smuggle diamonds? The cat can have a comfortable home and all the food it could ever want, but it will still hunt birds. What? Are we just reciting poetry now? Exquisite, I was beginning to think we would never understand each other. I don't understand. That was really confusing. The domestic cat does not need to kill, yet it does. It is simply in its nature, Lamau. Iron, don't say another word. Give it up, Ray. It's over. Give up? I haven't even started yet. Iron Kino, you're under arrest. Thank you, Detective. This is a false arrest. I'll have you hung out to dry for this. You're all talk, Kino. She's going away for good this time. I am 1,000 frayed threads finally bound. Yet I feel a great release. You're going to be released, all right. I'm going to fight these charges, and we're going to win, just like always. Whatever you say. Come with me, Iron. As Iron Kino's legal representative, I demand to know the charges. I mean, that's true. They should tell him that. Do you hear me? What happened to due process? Are there any puzzles in this puzzle game? Listen, I can't ever be satisfied. This is true. We know this about... Okay. Why is it still an option to question the blank void, the absence of people on the boat? I'll tell you what, I'm going to say because I got, like, a not great feeling. But I think that's just my emotional state, is what that feeling is. Nope. Precinct? It's weird that it specifically blacks out the apartment. I guess that is because feasibly it's a place we could go, but they want me to not go there. How's the prisoner? In a cell for now. Weird thing is, she seemed almost happy. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense to me. It explains the habitual nature of her legal troubles, that she's kind of trying to get caught, or she likes the thrill of the risk of being caught or something, and like Ray keeps bailing her out with his legal skills and attitude. Like, I feel like that actually makes sense to me, rather than the motive of, like, I don't know, it wasn't really clear what was going on. I know what you mean. It's almost like she wanted to get arrested. Perhaps she's doing research for her next script. Won't do her much good if Ray gets the charges dismissed. After she confessed? Not likely. But I guarantee he'll find a way to get the sentence reduced. She'll be out in a year or two. Almost makes me wonder if it was worth all that effort. This is what it's like to be a real detective. Even when you win, sometimes you still lose. But don't be too hard on yourselves. This will be the first time anyone's ever gotten a charge to actually stick to Akita. Or kinda. I honestly don't know. Thanks, but we're not done yet. What about Lori and Mal? We still don't know what happened to them. Agreed. We've got a lot of loose ends to tie up. Geez, can you believe we originally went out there for information on Frank Pritchell? Now that the diamond smuggling is sorted, we can get back to it. Is Ray still around? I might try asking a few more questions. Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll be super duper cooperative. Rather you than me. So it's just plot now. There's no more puzzles. I've doomed myself. Okay. What do you want? We still have a few loose ends and I want answers. Why did you smuggle diamonds? Did you really think you and E-Iron would get away with smuggling diamonds? Nothing has been proven in a court of law. I can almost understand E-Iron's motivation. She does things just to see what it's like. Just to feel something. But you went along with it. I'll do whatever I have to do. E-Iron isn't like you or me. She needs guidance. She needs to be protected. Was Lori involved in this? If Lori Becker was mixed in all this, you might as well tell us now, because we will find out. Because we're so good at being detectives. I honestly have no idea what happened to her. What would you do for a Klondike bar? You seem pretty angry that E. Iron was arrested, but how far would you go to defend her? What are you getting at? You told Mal to stay away from the hole, presumably because you knew it was full of illegal cargo, but then you found out anyway. Did you attack Mal Cruz because he knew too much? I object. That's a leading question. There's nothing to support that claim. What about Mal himself? As soon as he's able to talk, we'll know exactly what happened. Yeah, those questions were super helpful. It's no good. The hostile person who has no interest in helping us and would receive no benefit for doing so, for some reason doesn't want to help us. He's denying everything. Maybe not for long. An officer from Port Authority was just here. They found the missing lifeboat. And there was something inside. Oh, thank God it's a puzzle. Okay, it puzzle time. So, I will now resume to answer Neko's question from like 25 minutes ago. Why did I choose to see the movie Cats? I think I've actually talked about this on stream, but the reason was that I had a friend who was going through, like a friend and coworker who was going through like a really bad time, and like she had expressed interest in seeing the movie Cats because she thought it would be like so bad that it would be good, like watching it ironically kind of thing. And she was like having like a really bad, she'd had like a few rough months and then like an especially bad day, and she was kind of like bummed because like none of her friends like wanted to see it with her. And then I was like, we're gonna go directly after work and we're gonna go watch Cats. We're just gonna do that today. And then we did. We went and saw Cats. And it was very bad. It wasn't particularly so bad it was good. Although I am still glad that I saw it, mainly because Idris Elba playing the magical cat McCavity has definitely added something to my life experience. That's for sure. I don't recommend it. If you haven't seen Cats, the play or the movie, I had not been familiar with the play in any great capacity before seeing the movie. And after having a discussion with someone who's much more familiar with it as sort of a debrief to seeing the movie, they agreed with my assessment that, like, it's kind of just like a series of introductions, and then the movie ends. And they're like, yeah, that's about right. What are your thoughts on 1899? Well, it's really good. Apparently, it was made by the same people who did Dark, which, like, isn't surprising at all in hindsight. It is a shame that I found out that not that long ago they confirmed it's not getting another season. So that's a bummer. I'm not sure that I would have liked the second season on the path they were going on. I might have. I definitely liked the season we got, though. I feel like... I think my main summary of my feelings on 1899 is that I feel like Uchikoshi, the creator of Somnium Files and the Zero Escape games, would probably love that show. Apparently there's like a making-of documentary on Netflix about season 1 of 1899, which I thought was interesting. I also found it interesting that, like, there are a considerable number of, like, monologues and conversations that happen on that show that are purely for the audience's benefit in a really peculiar way because of the, like, multilingual nature of the cast. It's very interesting. No, that's interesting. Neko says she heard the plot of the movie Cats changed a lot, so it didn't make as much sense as it should have. I mean, I could believe that, but I think I could also believe that that's not true. No, I think she was glad that we went and saw Cats. I don't think either one of us loved it, but I think we were both, like, happy that the decision was made. Not exactly happy to have seen it, but like it was the right thing to do was to see cats. And like that's, I mean, when will that ever be a true sentence that's ever been spoken another time in the history of the world? So I'm gonna try and do some puzzle, but then I'm gonna tell you the story of the air conditioner. Not the air conditioner. I already told you that story. It's not super eventful, but I have a new air conditioner. And then I don't have a new air conditioner, but man. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like, they may have had a plan in mind for what, like, a season 2 of 1899 would be. I get, like, the big reveal is, like, very dramatic. It's, like, it wasn't all that surprising to me. Maybe it was to some people. But, like, because I play Uchikoshi games, I was like, nah, that seems about right. But, like, it just kind of felt like it was, like, if they did another season, it was going to feel very different. Which, like, maybe it would be different in a good way. But, like, because I liked what they did the first time, it would have made me nervous, you know? But, you know, Netflix. Oh, boy. Okay, so I feel like some of these middle rows might have enough spaces to, like, fill up. Yeah, not, like, super surprising, right? I mean, I feel like they did a good job of, like, foreshadowing it so that it didn't come completely out of nowhere. It's a very weird thing. We'll start with the 10 and the 1. So we got 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it looks right. And then the alternative would be like 1 space. So I guess we just subtract. No, the other would be. Hey, I did that completely wrong because I'm just not thinking at all. The other version would be one. It would count down 2. So yeah, it can like go up to the top, or it could be 8 spaces, and then like yeah, that makes more sense. It makes more sense because it's correct. I just want to emphasize that. And then we use the wall principle to count out all these first groups real quick. So that should give us like a decent starting point. Yeah, so I think I mentioned during maybe it was last Friday stream that like I got like a Friday text like right when I was trying to take my lunch break at work, and this is a filled-in space that is less than 3 from the top of the column, and the top group is 3. So that's like that. No. If you weren't looking at the screen, I was gesturing very emphatically. New air conditioner bedroom, not new air conditioner living room. Living room's the loud one, the bane of my existence. So, I think I mentioned that, like, I got a text and my landlady was like, hey, is your air conditioner... I think what she specifically asked me was like, is your air conditioner, like, leaking inside? And, like, no, it wasn't. Because it's never done that. But you know what it's done for many years? Leak on the outside. Just does. It's not a great air conditioner. So, like, you know, we had, like, a little bit of a back and forth, and she's like, I'm gonna send someone to take a look at it. And I'm like, great, that will affect me relatively minimally, all things considered. Like, there's little downside to this, but maybe it helps. So, like, I got a text Monday morning after hearing some weird sounds outside my apartment, and she was like, yeah, so the person is looking at it now, but they don't need access to the inside of your apartment. They're gonna do it from outside. And I'm like, okay, great. And so, like, I hear, like a really, like a... You know, like in a cartoon when, like, someone's, like, constructing something really quickly off-screen, and you just hear, like, hammering and sawing and drilling noises to, like, just, like, a ludicrous degree? That's kind of what it sounded like, to be honest. It was kind of like that. But, like, you know, I was just, like, going about my work. They didn't need to come inside, so I wasn't going to pay attention to it. And I've been, like, expecting, like, a bunch of packages, and some of them showed up and some of them didn't. So, like, relatively early in the day, I went out, because I stopped hearing the construction sounds. I kind of wanted to make sure that they were done so that I could turn on the air conditioner in the afternoon when I needed it. So I, like, went out and looked at what they did. And, you know, same air conditioner, it's still there. It's maybe running a little smoother than it had been. It hasn't been, like, having the little fits where it was like, I think I even like mentioned it a couple times recently on stream, where like it had started doing a thing where every now and then it would just like make really bad noises. So like it hasn't been doing that since then, so like that's good. It's not like particularly running any better. It's just like not running worse. But so clearly the concern was the condensation or the whatever it is that was coming out of the air conditioner. I don't know. So the work that was done was primarily to create like a makeshift funnel and then like a small tube to feed directly from the air conditioner to the floor below, for some reason like directly in front of my downstairs neighbor's door. And like my immediate thought is like, did they tell that person that was happening? Because like that doesn't, I mean, if it was a problem up here, how is it not a problem down there? But like, I think like the epilogue on the story, jumping ahead a bit, is I ran into the landlady today checking for another one of those packages. And she was like, yeah, you know, I'm just so you know, I'm gonna like call a painter to like redo the paint on the, so like clearly the whole thing is that she was actually just like annoyed that the wall became really discolored from the constant like spritz of moisture from the air conditioner. Which is like neither here nor there. Like, I'm not mad about that. It's just like, it's a little annoying that that's just like the dumbest possible solution to that problem. Like, there's just something about how like inefficient and like bad that solution is that like annoys me. Like, they went to like a great deal of trouble to solve a minor problem in a really dumb way. But whatever. I mean, it's still a benefit to me because it's not leaking on the packages that people leave directly under the air conditioner anymore. So, like, it's not a bad thing for me. I just wish that they had done something that wasn't so stupid. Anyway, so if we look here, we got a couple spaces filled in already. The top group for this column is 4. So, like, all together, these are in the top 5 spaces. We've got a filled-in endpoint, so I can more or less tell you, like, it kind of has to go like this. I can't obviously fit a whole group above that. This space being filled, like, it can't reach all the way to the top, etc., etc. All of that being sorted out, I also now have a starting point for the only other group in the column, so, like, that's done. That's fun for me. And then we can count out wall principle style from here. We got group of 2, and then we can count this down. So if we look at this next column over, it again has a group of 4 and a group of 3. We got 1 space filled in here, 1 here, and then something in the middle. So that's sort of where my 2 groups are. So this obviously isn't anything. That also leaves exactly 4 spaces for that top group of 4 to be in. And then this would be the start of our bottom group of 3, and everything below that would be done. So, in some of these cases, like here, I don't know if the last space needed to make this group of 3 finish goes on the left or right, so I can't do that right away. But, here, like, I can use the wall principle because I have every space accounted for, so I know which group I'm looking at. So, in the top of these 2 rows, it's a group of 2, here's a group of 1. And then if we take a quick glance at this column where I just made those adjustments, there's no group larger than 2, so like that's my group of 2. Or that's the whole group, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's takeaway from the air conditioner stories, like they definitely didn't make it worse. There was definitely a non-zero chance that that could have happened. Nicholas, why didn't they try to stop it leaking completely? Did you miss the part of the story where their solution was to like just drain it downstairs so it didn't like mess up the paint? Like, we're dealing with some really like short-sighted people who like don't take their work seriously. And I mean both the contractors and my landlady, to be quite frank with you. So like, by their powers combined, we're definitely not taking the correct solution to, like, actually solve the problem. Now, what's odd about this is that the game is telling me that because I've made this its own group of 2, there has to be a group of 2 up here? Is that literally true? Like, let's take a look at this. I just want to prove whether or not that's true, so I'm not relying on the game. So, like, here's a group of 2. If I consider it the top group, this can't be the next group, right? So I would need to have, like, a... There's purple for this real quick. I need to have, like, a group of 2, and then a group of 1, and then... Yeah, no, I guess that's technically true. I couldn't possibly do that. It doesn't look like that's true at a glance, but it is true. Those are the ones that get me. Like, that sort of thing is, like, how I ended up stuck for 20 minutes on that puzzle last time. But yeah, so apparently I need a group of 2 here, so the middle of these 3 spaces has to be filled in. Also, let's take a real quick look at this row we haven't done for a second. Leftmost group is 4. That kind of just means this whole area has to be filled in. It's exactly 4 spaces. Some of them are filled in. Can't have a whole group to the left of it because it goes basically to the edge. Then the wall principle tells us that this is its own group because it's the next one in line. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all but 3 is my overlap for the group of 5 that has to make up the remaining spaces. Then we can use the overload principle. Whether or not these 2 groups reach all the way to the top, they must extend some amount down because there's only so far it can reach up, and it has to be a reasonably large number in each instance. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6th space is either the top or the bottom, and then 2, 3, 4. Same situation. I think all of those are set up in such a way that I don't know what comes next. I'm gonna check something real quick for this 11512. Is it possible for this to be our first space in the row? That would require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Absolutely not. So then the next question becomes, like, could it be the second one? That would mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, and then still no, but not quite as severely. So that actually tells me a reasonable amount. If this can't be either of the first 2 groups, that means that both of those groups have to be to the left of it. And there's only one possible way to do that. And then the wall principle would tell us that this starting point leads us to a full group of 5. I could do a point of overlap for the 2, but I'm just too lazy to do it, frankly. I think this is now a finished group of 10. Let me double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. So close it out on either side, and then we fill this space in to finish making group of 2. Now that I got the start point and end point, could have done that earlier, huh? It's fine though. But if we take a look at this column, the only thing unaccounted for now is a group of 2, and I already have one of those spaces filled in, so anything that's like more than 1 space away can't be part of it. So that's cool. Wow, these bottom few rows look kind of bad. Yeah, no, I don't think I get anything out of this one yet. So, what do I do? Do I actually have any useful information to apply to this column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, space, 1, 2, 3. It's just, there's not enough happening, right? I literally have a group of 3 down here, and this be part of the group of 5? That's just nothing. One thing, minor thing, but true. is this can't be anything because my top group has to be 2. And this is the top space where I can't fit a group of 2. 1, 2. Oh, no one asked, but there was some Magic the Gathering news today. They did some product reveals for some of the crossover stuff that's coming out later this year. I think I mentioned not too long ago that there's a Lord of the Rings crossover set in the summer, and then there's a Doctor Who one that I think is closer to Halloween. They finally revealed some information about the Doctor Who one, which I was somewhat skeptical of. Actually looks pretty good. It, I mean, no surprise to anyone who knows me. Looks more interesting to me than the Lord of the Rings one. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. They did reveal some stuff about Lord of the Rings that seems to have upset Lord of the Rings fans equally to the amount it upset me, so I feel okay about that. They had mentioned that there was, like, a mechanic called, like, the ring tempts you. And, like, that sounded really cool. Like, oh, man, like, you probably get some, like, benefit, but, like, you risk, like, corrupting yourself, and then, like, something bad happens if you do it too much. And, no, if the ring tempts you a bunch of times, you just, like, get a bunch of cool stuff, and there's no downside to it. And, like, no one understands why that's true. But I was like, that doesn't seem to make any sense. And, everyone seems to agree with me, so there you go. Legend says, to be fair, most things are better than Lord of the Rings today. See the Rings of Power. See, like, I'm an outlier on that because, like, it wasn't, like, my favorite thing ever. I sort of enjoyed Rings of Power. But, like, I don't know if that's specifically because or partially because I'm not, like, a big Lord of the Rings fan. But, like, also, you know, if you get me started on Andor, I'll complain that, like, Lord of the Rings is not the bottom of the barrel, because Andor exists. I'll die on this hill. I have a personal vendetta against Andor, mostly because people won't shut up about how it's the best TV show ever, and it's objectively not, and it makes me upset. Alright, I'm kind of ad-libbing, because I feel like I should know what to do next, but I don't. It's okay to be wrong. You're right, Demolition, so I'll forgive you for not understanding that Andor is not the best television show of all time. I'm not even saying it's the worst. I think I dislike it more than it actually deserves because people are so hype on it. Like, so unreasonably hype on it. Like, there's plenty of good stuff about Andor. It is unfortunately about Cassian Andor, who has never been a good character and is probably a worse character for them making the decision to, like, spend more time trying to build the character of Andor, who, I will remind you, from earlier in the sentence, isn't a good character. What is Andor again? For those of you like Deco who live under a rock, Andor is well, I guess it's not technically the most recent Star Wars show since we got Mandalorian Season 3. But it's like the most recent new Star Wars TV show that was added to like the Disney streaming service. And it's like a prequel to the movie Rogue One, based on like a specific one of the characters from Rogue One, who I will remind you from the previous sentence isn't a good character. And I don't mean like morally, I mean he just sucks. He just like isn't good or interesting. But like the whole show is about him. I don't understand. Hey, I should probably add that point of overlap that I, like, refused to do before. So, like, I could do, like, a 1-2, or I could do, like, a 1-2, but, like, this one's gotta be filled. But these are really small numbers, so I don't think that actually helps me at all. Got 10 spaces here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I can get something out of this. 1, 2, 1, 2... Space 1, space 1. There's some variance here, so that's not exactly what it is. The far right version looks like 1, 1, space 1, 2, so that always has to be part of that one. And that always has to be part of that one. Okay. So, Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the way this column looks, I don't think I get any more information out of this. I'm, like, close to being able to, like, fill in at least one group here, despite the fact that they're relatively small. But, it's just, like, the weird way the groups line up. Hey, Angel, hope we're doing alright this Friday. By the way, that actually does remind me of something I wanted to mention today. I don't know when I'll get around to it because I've not been, like, really at all productive lately, and I'm, like, extremely depressed. What do you all want or need from a chat bot? Because, like, I have, like, put in, like, the minimum amount of effort on this for a long time. I think it would be good to set that up. I know quote command is on the list. It's, like, an annoying thing to try and set up manually. But, like, I could probably do it. No, we're not adding an AI to a stream bot. We're not trying to start Skynet. These are all such small groups. I already did this one. I'd probably get like a point of overlap from like the group of 3 here. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2. Oh, that's interesting. I get 2 points here, huh? That might be useful. This is really only, yeah. So like 1, 2, 3 space 1, 2 space, etc. That's not bad. Fill that. Fill these. So these are really small numbers too. Is that helpful? Not sure what a chatbot is supposed to do. We already chat. See, that's kind of my problem, Neko, is like, I guess I just like don't come from a mind. Like, there are other streamers who have like really elaborate chatbots set up. And like, and just as an example, and I don't mean this to call you out at all, but like, I've seen people use like !lurk. I don't know what the expected result of that is. Does that typically yield like a specific command? Or is that just supposed to be an indicator that you're like here and lurking? Or both? I think it's both, but I don't know. Like, do we want something to happen when you do that? Because it could happen. That's nothing. Typically, it sends a message that it's okay to lurk. Okay. I mean, I can add that really easily. Although, I'll say this. I was thinking about that specific one earlier this week, because it does come up somewhat often. I would love for the chatbot to be able to use, like, the secret Squirtle emote, because it feels very on brand for lurk. I don't think I know how to, like, gift a perpetual sub to a bot. Or to anyone, really. I mean, the bot is essentially a user. So you just need to know how to do it to a user. But, like, I don't think you can do that, right? You could just do it for, like... Make it a mod? But, like, I don't think mod does that implicitly. I don't think that... I think that's a separate subset of, like, Twitch access. I might be wrong, but I think they're different. No, like, I know you can give subs about... Like, the... My point being, like, if I set up the bot to use a command that included an emote from the channel, and its gift sub lapsed, then it just would awkwardly say the emote command in chat, and there would just be text and nothing would happen. But, like, I don't know of a way to just be like, I'm just gonna spend $5 forever, and the bot is cool. Like, I don't... That might exist. I don't know how to do that. Stupid hard puzzle. I mean, I'll say this. I was doing some reflecting on this game. It does feel like it is taking forever, I'm not gonna lie about that. Not this individual game, but, like, also specifically this individual puzzle. I feel like I'm approaching a point that's, like, similar to my feelings about Wintermore Tactics Club, but, like, more favorable. in the sense that, like, I like this game. I like what it's doing. I feel like it falls a little flat overall on the writing. Like, because this game kind of happens in, like, two parts of, like, puzzle and story, and there's, like, not kind of, like, any other thing to really rate it on, the story's, like, not amazing. It's not terrible, but, like, some dumb stuff happens, and, like, the twists aren't, like, super shocking or anything. In fact, usually the twist is apparent really early on. I guess that's one thing this last case is going for, is, like, I feel like it's definitely at least angling towards something where, like, I didn't immediately know who did it or why. So, like, that's a positive. But, like, you know, that being the case, like, I think the puzzle aspect is really effective. I mean, ultimately, Ditto's parents have irreconcilable differences, and I'm really sorry for that happening. But, like, the puzzles scale really well. So, like, the puzzle part, I think, works, like, flawlessly. I feel like the pacing of the puzzles in the story are, like, sort of okay. There's times when there's too many puzzles, there's times where there's not enough puzzles. Which, like, on average, yeah, probably the expected result. But, like, you know, again, it kind of just sort of, like, I feel like you could massage the story to work that better. But I think ultimately, I almost think this game would work better in, like, an episodic style, like the old Telltale games. Like, the old Telltale games. Where, like, you know, maybe there's, like, a few different... Like, instead of, like, one pretty big, long game, you got, like, 2 or 3, like, medium or short-length games with, like, a little bit of a more streamlined pace, and, like, the integration of puzzles works a little smoother. Then, like, I feel like this game overloads on puzzles sometimes just to have more puzzles. And, like, I totally understand, like, you know, I don't know exactly what the team size on this game is. I imagine it's relatively small. So, like, there's a good chance it's, like, the studios or the developers, like, first game, and, like, they don't know if they're getting another game, so they're just gonna put everything into it. So, like, I totally respect it. I just feel like the overall package would work a little better with more of a focus on the story and the balance with the puzzles. Because, again, it's kind of just the whole nature of the game. So I'm gonna turn on Big Fan. No one's gonna notice, I don't think, but I'm gonna turn it on. I thought I could get away with it, but it's warming up a little. Nah, big fan of Big Fan. I stole this fan from my parents like 8 years ago. They lent it to me for some reason I don't remember, and I've used it a lot since. Echo says, the problem I have with the puzzles is that they don't help to tell the story. It's a huge break that can last for hours between a plot point. I mean, it shouldn't. I think you're supposed to be better than I am at the puzzles, to be honest. And something like Phoenix Wright, the puzzles have you investigating crime scenes for your case, so you get some story from this. Here, it's always a blob of pixels that look vaguely like Ditto's parents fighting. Yeah. I mean, I think I mostly agree with that. I mean, to be fair, though, like, it's just kind of a conceit of the game, is that, like, this is the way it interprets, like, the advancement of the investigation is with the blob puzzle. So, like, I think in that sense, like, maybe it's just, like, not a game for you. And I think that's totally, totally fair. I mean, certainly, like, for me personally, I'd prefer Phoenix Wright to Murder by Numbers, but, like, I appreciate the existence of Murder by Numbers and what it's doing. Like, I think it's cool that people are in this space doing this thing. Anime says, I did look up how to make chatbot use your emotes, and it looks like it's simple with Streamlabs. I mean, I don't love Streamlabs, but I'm still already using it. Although, I'm not sure... Oh... You mean, like, the Streamlabs bot, right? Like, that's sort of distinct from some of the other Streamlabs stuff. Yeah, it does. It honestly seems like the Streamlabs bot is, like, probably the way to go. Because then that has the, like, chat command stuff, or the, not the chat, the quote command stuff built into it. which, like, is a huge nuisance to do otherwise. Like, I think you have to, like, figure out how to code Python in order to make it work, which I don't know how to do. My understanding is that essentially those are the two ways to do it. So, like, yeah, I probably should just switch from Moobot to, like, Streamlabs. But I appreciate the shout. I just, like... It's not the answer I want, but it's the answer I need right now. Or however that quote goes. Echo says, I always wish we could get the Phoenix Wright's part of the cases after you arrest people. I mean, like, the games tend to give you something of an epilogue on the characters, although it tends not to focus on the villains, that's true. Okay, at some point we were playing a game, yeah? I have a really dumb question. 2, 1, 1, 1. No, that really doesn't help me that much. I mean... What's funny is, like, I think I could fit every group in this row to the right of these X's. I don't think that's probably true. That's the first thing that came up on a Google search. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I've done various, like... It's kind of like Return to the Past. Like, I complain about how long it took to set up Return to the Past, but it was kind of like in fits and starts. I mean... I was gonna say it wasn't that I spent like a bunch of consecutive days working on it, but that's not true. In the end, I was definitely doing that. But, it was more that, like, for many months, I'd, like, look into it a little bit, try some stuff, and it didn't work. And sort of keep going like that every period of time where I could find motivation to do it again. That's kind of what the chatbot process has been like. The indicators are that, like, the thing that probably does what I want is the Streamlabs bot. I just kind of don't like it on principle, because, like, Streamlabs has done some sketchy stuff, like incorporating stuff from OBS when specifically asked not to and stuff like that. We're halfway through the conversation, but if you're interested in learning Python, Humble Bundle has the No Starch Press Python bundle running again. I read Automate the Boring Stuff with Python and greatly enjoyed it. Oh, I appreciate the recommendation letters. I mean, I used to be into the concept of programming. I made, like, a specific decision not to, like, get into it professionally, which is complicated and personal. But, like, the main reason it came up is just, like, I don't know, I was thinking about it this week, and then something came up in chat that was sort of like, I would like a more sophisticated chatbot, but, like, it's just, like, those features, like, aren't on my radar, and, like, some of the stuff to, like, manually add requires you to understand Python, which I don't. I mean, like, the last time I coded, like, Java was relatively new. So, what I'm saying to you is that I'm very old. Okay, here's something. I've made no progress. It's been 20 minutes again, I'm sure. So, check this out. These 3 spaces here, they can't be their own group of 3, and I can't obviously fit anything further to right because it's the edge of the column, or of the row. So that means that this space here has to be part of my rightmost group. What that also tells me is that neither of these 2 spaces can be part of that group. It's possible for the group of 3 to reach here, but it can't. There's just no way. It's just only a group of 3. Well, thank you, Angel, for gifting a sub to letters. Much appreciated. Enjoy this confetti. It's working. I'm not old. Oh, I'm so old. I feel like every conversation I've had this week has made me feel old. And that's not even the thing that's been upsetting me. The thing that's been upsetting me is Saturday. Saturday was a very dark time for me. So, like, I don't think I can actually get anything of importance out of this, right? There's still, like, too many spaces for just, there's no, I have no idea where the 2 goes. And frankly, this isn't up high enough to help determine, like, the top group or anything useful like that. Puzzles definitely are getting harder. They're not unreasonably difficult, but I do feel like they make for increasingly uninteresting stream viewing, which I have some anxiety over. I mean, these bottom 3 rows are just, like, useless to me. Just completely useless. And the 4th one, I think I'm, like, a couple facts shy of, like, it being useful at all. I don't know the relative position of these. I don't know if this is part of my top group of 2 or whatnot. I think I already looked at this 1, 2, 3. No, I looked at a very similar 1, 2, 3 and just never looked at this one. So 1, 2, 3 space 1, 2 space, etc. Blankety blank. Okay. So if those are filled in, what does that tell me? That tells me that this is part of, I mean, like, the middle group of 4. There's no way it's the top group of 4. That doesn't make any sense. I appreciate the vote of support letters. Not getting anything from that. Or probably this. Again, I really don't quite get anything here. I mean, it seems very possible for, like, these to just be the groups of 1. Ooh, actually, no, I got something here. I got something for this. So if we look at this column, there's no group larger than 2. So if I fill in this space, I have a group of 3. This column doesn't have any groups of 3. So that means they have to at least be separated that way. But then we can apply the same logic here. Well, this can't be filled in because then it's a group of 3 and I don't have any of those. So, like, this is definitely one of the groups of 1. Is that super helpful? No. Is it true and accurate? Yes. The problem is, like, this could very well be group of 1 or group of 2, right? It's like this could be like 2, 1, 1 space. Yes, plenty of room for that to be true. I could almost apply the same reasoning here. There is one group of 3 in this column, though. So then, in order to determine if this could possibly be our group of 3, what we have to ask ourselves is, could we fit every other group above that group here? That would require, like 2 additional spaces. So no, that can't be true. So since it's not possible for this to be the bottom group of 3, then there's no way for this space to be filled. Okay, now that that's true, I want to see something about this row where I filled in 2 blank spaces. If we count from the right, rightmost group is 1, then another 1, then space 1, 2, and then space 1, 2. So, like, because that touches both ends of the possible row, that tells me that that's the only possible configuration for that. Because if I was to look at the leftmost, it would still start at the leftmost point and end at the rightmost point. So, we did it. We finished this particular row. Okay, now, what do I do with that? Man, these groups of 3 at the far right are actually, like, cramping my style pretty hard. Because it makes it pretty hard to deduce anything about, like, oh, like, I couldn't put a space here. But, like, no, I definitely could. This could be, like, the top group of 2 in the right, and it could be, like, this group of 3 here, etc., etc. I'm gonna manually check something really quick. So, like, it's not possible to put 2 groups of 1 over here. So let's say one of these two spaces is filled. Then we would have like 1 space, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3. Nope, there's no overlap there. We're close, but I don't get anything from that. Hang on. No, that doesn't work because it's far enough away that these 3 could just be filled. I was thinking that I could try to do something like I did up here and like at least X out 1 space and maybe do something with that. Just not narrowing down anything of any particular importance, huh? Huh. Oh, I got something really weird here, maybe. I posit that this space is blank. So, up here, I have a group of 4 that's missing 1 space in it, right? So it can still potentially reach down here, right? Down here, I have... It kind of has to be part of the group of 2 that's sort of in the middle of this column. Because, like, even if this space wasn't filled, allowing the maximum space between these 2, if I fill both of these, it's like a group of 3, and that's, like, not the next group down. It's just not possible. So, like, this has to be part of the next group down. It has to be part of the group of 2. But, being part of a group of 2, it can only reach as high as this. And the group of 4 above it can only reach as low as this, which means this space can never be filled. No, I don't know that that's relevant. Because, like... Yeah, I could, like, put 2 there, and then this would be one of the ones, and then have plenty of space for that to go somewhere. Is there even overlap? It'd be like 1, 2, 1... 1 is the leftmost, and then the rightmost would be like 1 space 1. And then, like, would reach to... So, like, no. Absolutely not. Not helpful at all. True, but not helpful. So, like, by the end of this case, by the end of the game, I'm just going to have a save file that starts at the beginning of a puzzle, and then I'm going to do one puzzle continuously for, like, 4 hours, and then have to save afterwards, because I won't be able to watch the cutscenes in the same stream, I think. I think that's where this is headed. Oh, hang on. Maybe I can do something here, right? So, like, this has to be part of my rightmost group of 4 for this row. Because there's only 3 spaces over here, so I can't fit, like, a whole group over there to be my group of 4. This space can't be filled in, though, because I can't have another group, and a group of 4 wouldn't be able to reach all the way over here. That would take 5 spaces. I think that gives me another point of overlap, because the leftmost version of the group of 4... Well, the leftmost version is like 2 space 1, 2, 3, 4 blank. But then the other version would be like 1, 2, 3, 4 space 1, 2. So this one's always filled in. Now this is actually reasonably important, because now I know something about the group of 5 here. I guess I knew that? I guess I should have known that once this X was here. Basically, so like this has to be part of my group of 3 at the bottom, which means these spaces can never be filled because the 3 can't reach that far down. But also, now knowing that this is here, and that the group of 5 is above the X, which I should have been able to tell, I think. we should... So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, 5 of the 7 spaces could be filled in. So we get like 3 in the middle that are always filled, and then a difference of 2. Now, does that do anything for me? It does here, because now I know that using the wall principle, this is the start of my group of 2, and then it has to be separated. And then that's the start of my group of 3, so that finishes the row. Which also finishes the top group of 4 here. Up here, this has to be part of my middle group of 2, which can no longer reach to here, which means that this is the space that gets filled in at the top, and makes that top row closer to being done. But, like, yeah, I don't have more than that for this row yet. 2... I think we have an additional point of overlap here because I honestly couldn't tell you why. I'm too stupid. I know something changed, but if we take a look at this, so the leftmost version of this row now looks like 1, 2, space 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the rightmost version looks like 1. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, no matter what the row looks like, this space now has to be filled in. So there's only 2 groups larger. No, that's not true. There's... I guess the key here is that the configuration is... Well, let's start with this. There's no group of 4 in this column, so this space has to be blank. So then, we know that this is the middle 1. And knowing that it's the 1, there's only one group above that, which is this 2 that we've already finished filling in. And then, because we have every space filled in a row, the wall principle tells us that's the start of a group of 2, which ends here. And then 3 of these 4 spaces have to be filled, so we get some overlap. What we also get from this is that this top row is only missing a group of 3. So it can't fit in these 2 spaces. But then, again, we find ourselves with 3 out of these 4 spaces should be filled in. So the middle ones are an automatic overlap. But because that's in the top row, that also means that we can use the wall principle to count down those groups. So this one is group of 2, and this one is group of 4. And interestingly, well, there's a couple ways to look at this. Let's look at this row. I think it's the easiest to understand. Now that we've done these things that we just did, we got ourselves a group of 4 here, and that's the biggest group for the row, and then that leaves just this one blank space to fill in. This space being filled in tells us it is one of our groups, which has to be at least 2, and there's only 2 spaces. It's our topmost group of 2 for that column. That will yield to some deduction later on, probably, maybe, unclear. But because of that, because we made those adjustments, now we can use the wall principle. We got our top group of 2, we got some blank spaces, we got a filled in space. That's the start of our next group of 4. So that looks like that. And then there's only a group of 2 that needs to be completed, so everything that's more than 1 space away, that's blanked out. And speaking of blanking stuff out, let's take a look up here. There's multiple reasons that we know to do this, but again, maybe the most obvious is got a group of 4 here. It needs to be a group of 5. We got 1 blank space to accommodate. And now that row is done, so nothing can be filled in here. But you can also make that same deduction because there was only 1 space here in both of these columns. and they didn't have a top group of 2 accounted for yet, and that group of 2 couldn't have fit in that one blank space. So, that being the case, I have this space filled in. It's now very, very close to the top, and it's blocked off on either side. This has to be filled in to make it our top group of 2. Similarly, if you look over here, we got this space filled in. I couldn't fill both of these to make a top group of 2, because that instead makes 3. So, that tells me that this can't be part of that top group. And we'll have to sort this out later. I don't think we immediately have quite enough to do that. One thing we do actually know, looking at the row a little more closely, we're trying to account for a group of 1, a group of 2, and a group of 3. We already have 2 groups that have more than 1 in them. The middle one has to be our group of 2 that's missing. And then that also tells us where the group of 1 goes, because there's only 1 space for it left to go. So we'll close that off on the bottom, since that is its own group in the column. If you look at the row above that, we've narrowed this down to the point that we're trying to account for a group of 2 and a group of 1. So if we fill the left space and leave the other one blank, that gives us all the groups we're looking for. Which also finishes this group of 5 and tells us that this is the last filled space on the top. I guess we should have deduced when we put that X in, but it's fine, we got there eventually. I don't remember exactly when we filled this, but if we take a look at this row, this has to be part of our rightmost group of 2, so we'll just fill that in nice and neat. Okay, so let's take a look here in this column. Only missing group is a group of 2. So anything that's more than 1 space away from what we have filled in is not eligible. Likewise, the spaces that are more than 2 away can't be part of this group of 3, but the overlap principle tells us this one will also be filled no matter what we do, given the starting point we know up here. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. This is filled because it's part of a group of 4 that's not finished. Whether or not this rightmost space is filled in, this is too close to the right side for it not to be one of the 2 groups of 1 I need. So that has to be true. And let's use some purple squares for a minute here and see if that's enough to, like, narrow this down enough. So the leftmost version is like 1, 2, 3, space 1, 2, space 1, space, etc. It's fine. That's the end of the row then. And then the rightmost version would be like 1, 1, space, like 1, 2, space, 1, 2, 3. So, like, kind of no. Like, weirdly, I say kind of no because I almost feel... 1, 2... I guess it would just look like 1, 2... Yeah, no, that's very plausible. It just looks weird. That's fine. Ignore me trying to be clever. As per usual, I am not right. Oh, if we look over here... This is 1, 2, and then the second group of 1, and then a filled-in space, so that is our other group of 1. And then... because we have 3 spaces left and we need to fill 2 of them. The middle one is overlap. Now that that's in place, if we look at this second row from the bottom, we can use the overload principle to determine that this space should be filled in. Because even if this reaches all the way to the wall, it'll still reach out 3 beyond that. So that's cool. We can also use the overload principle vertically now that this is in place. Because even if it touches the wall, it still has to reach this far out in order to be a group of 3. What's interesting about that is we know that this space can't be filled. It can't be part of either this group of 2 or this group of 3, and those are the only ones we need to fill. So that tells us this is the one we were missing for the row. I don't know anything more than that right now. I don't think. There's no group bigger than 2 here in this row, so this has to be closed off. Super relevant. Still a bunch of places for the 1s to go. I don't really want to do the math in this row that I think is going to be important really soon. I just don't want to do it. You can't make me, but the game can try. Let me check this column real quick. It's like, it's kind of narrow. I think there may only be one way to do this. So the uppermost version is like 1 space 1. Oh, hang on, 1, 2. And I guess the bottom one still has the flexibility to be either of these. But I think it is the case that, like, the bottommost version of this still involves these 2 specific spaces being filled. So I don't know which of these it is. Good chance it's this just because it finishes the 4, but I don't know that. So, like, this and this I think should be filled. And that would be blank to separate them. Still don't think I have this row yet. I'm sorry the headache's still bothering you, Neko. Did the cinnamon roll help at least? Hang on, what do I have going on here? What is this? This looks weird. So I have to fill in a group of 2 and a group of 3 and a group of 1. That's okay. This row is basically done. So this is my group of 1, group of 2, group of 3. Cool. Now there's only one group of 2 in this column, so these both be blank. And then this has to be its own group of 1, so that be blank. And now this being filled in fixes the row and the column. And now that this is all filled in, we can use the wall principle in reverse. So this has to be our second group of 1 from the right, which leaves us with 1 configuration. We need a group of 2 and a group of 3, and there's only space for them to look like that. Okay. So that's filled in, that's filled in, and that finishes that column kind of abruptly. That one's done too. This guy's filled in because the column needs 1 more space. This is apparently done. This has to be its own group because on the right side there's only groups of 1. So I think we just fill in all these remaining spots, right? Because I need 1, 2, 3, and those are the only spots left. So that finishes that column. It tells me this needs to be filled in to finish that column. Same with this. And because I now have 2 separate groups with spaces filled in, I know that this space can't be filled in because I already got 2 groups and that's the most I have. And then this should be filled in and the rest of the row is blank. This last space is needed to fill in the final group for the right column. So that is the group of 4. These 2 have to be filled in because that column's not done yet. And then I got a starting point for this group of 2, and then that goes there. It's lungs! I think it's lungs. I think it's lungs. I think it's lungs. It's a pistol. I think it's lungs. Like I said, I haven't eaten the cinnamon roll because I ate too many snacks from a Japanese snack box. I'm confused. I'm a little confused. That does remind me, though, we have to do the unboxing later. Don't let me forget that. Lungs are a pocket watch. Really gotta do that too, don't I? Hey, real talk. I've been going back and forth on this. When we were playing the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, I felt very strongly about adding a sound clip of, I forget exactly what she says. I think it's like, "We are going to do this," when she's like dedicated to milking the goat. Should I do that? Am I doing that? But like, yeah, I probably need to. I need to at least check the thing Ditto sent me with the pocket watch to make that a thing. Even though like it's such a specific joke that only like Ditto and I actually like literally know, but it's just funny to me. Technically, pistols help open holes in lungs. True, they're like a surgical tool. They are kind of related. That's true. Heather says that she gets headaches when she eats too much sugar or is dehydrated. Yeah, dehydration is definitely universal. I think sugar is common. I don't know if that affects everyone the same way. I have a really high sugar tolerance, so like I don't know. That's like literally my explanation. By the way, I'm really just now appreciating for the first time after like 25 multiple hour installments of this game how perfectly I've set this up. I don't think this was deliberate, such that like when you like finish it and you get this banner here that my camera lines up like perfectly with it. I don't know how that's possible without trying. Yeah, I'm sure you do drink plenty of water, Neko. I just found personally that like I went from having somewhat regular headaches to being properly hydrated all the time and very rarely having headaches, so I'm very keen to point that out to people in an obsessive manner. Welcome. And by the way, Kassark, thank you for the 13-month resub and the excellent remark. Much appreciated. And Alcadius just showed up. Did you know I used to be the president of the old McDonald's farm? I was the CIEIO. Nice. There's, I don't actually remember if it still exists in any form, but at the Universal Studios theme park in Florida, they had this, like, Men in Black quasi-laser tag ride experience. And while you were waiting in line for that, this, like, the line was sort of themed like being in the Men in Black offices, and so like there was announcements on the loudspeaker going out to agents, and there was one where it's like, would agents E, I, and O report to some department, but like that one got me good at the time, so I always remember that. Yes, Arg says, hope things are well with everyone. I hope that too. Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to me because I'm having a very bad time. Not with the stream. The stream is going better than it probably should be. I shouldn't be streaming. I hope you're having a good time. I think this is lungs, by the way. Wait, what were we scanning? What is it we were... What's the thing that was the setup for this? Netters, it's time for a plot break. Go stretch or drink water or something. That sounded more demanding than I meant it to. No, Scout's upset. A weapon? You okay, Scout? You might need a minute to... No, I am fine. Please, continue. This must be the gun that killed Lori. Can you tell me anything important from it, Detective? That's a weird way to phrase that question. Could you tell me facts that would let me solve the case, which is your job? A little. I could be wrong, but I think this is a custom model. Looks like it's been modified. I think originally it might have been lungs. Can't Scout tell for sure? I would have thought he'd know all about weapons since... Oh, no. Someone's in the doghouse, and it's Detective Cross. Nani? Detective? There's no need to pretend anymore, Otter. It's clear you told Detective Cross what I remembered. I felt like he had a right to know. I'm sorry if... No need to apologize. It was a logical decision. To answer your question, Detective, I have only limited knowledge of firearms, but I can detect several unusual machining marks. Machining marks. I believe this gun was modified for left-handed operation. Huh. Is that like... I don't know. It just doesn't feel like that is like a single dexterous tool? I don't know anything about guns. That ought to narrow things down. Give me a sec, I'll go get Ray. Ray, are you left-handed? Is this your idea of a joke? Just answer the question. Yes, I'm left-handed. What does that have to do with anything? Everything. Ray Kino, you're under arrest for the murder of Lori Becker. Oh, man, that's a... Oh, boy. I mean, listen. Could we, like, detain him for questioning? Sure. Is he a lawyer who knows his rights and also has been openly hostile towards us since well before he had any specific reason to? Yeah. Would that questioning yield much useful information? No. But, like, arresting him? I don't know about that. That feels like a pretty big gambit. He's not, as it turns out, and you may struggle to believe this, but I strongly believe this to be true myself. He is not the only left-handed person in existence. Have you lost your mind? I didn't kill anyone. Save it for the jury. So E. Iron was smuggling diamonds. Ray attacked Mal when he found out, and then he killed Lori when she found Mal. Okay, listen, let me be clear about this, because I give Honor a really hard time about being a terrible detective. This all honestly adds up for once. Normally when she's just, like, spouting stuff, it's, like, borderline nonsense. But, like, I don't think we have enough to arrest him. I feel like we have maybe enough to arrest her. I don't think we have enough to arrest him. And I definitely think that there's some shadow of a doubt. Kessler says, left-handed, therefore guilty is not quite Encyclopedia Brown level of logic, but it's close. I mean, I'll admit I'm not keenly familiar with Encyclopedia Brown. Certainly know of him. But, like, would I be correct in making the assumption that in an Encyclopedia Brown story, there's, like, a reasonable number of suspects and only one of them is left-handed? Which is, like, statistically possible. Whereas here, we know, like, 3 people, and we literally we checked with one of them to see if they were left-handed and then arrested him? We didn't even check, like, all the people involved in the case. That's my true objection here. Like, I get that, like, left-handedness can sometimes be, like, a shortcut to solving the crime. It's silly. It's a little campy even, maybe, but, like, I get it. But, like, we literally just, like, checked one person, we're like, well, I guess you did the murder then. Like, that's a little bit much. All that just to protect his sister. Family is important, as are friends. I'm sorry I told Cross. I just thought that I would not find out. I know I shouldn't have told anyone without your permission, but it didn't seem fair to keep him in the dark. You think I am dangerous. Oh god, this is so not the way I would want to bring this up at all. I found someone who can help. They're waiting to meet you, if you want. I want things to go back to the way they were. Oh god, Scout. Oh, Scout, why? Scout's definitely the best character in this game. Poor Scout. Me too. Now, when she says me too, does she mean that she wishes she had her cushy Hollywood job and hadn't been accused of murder? Ray's locked up tight. Never met a lawyer who deserved it more. Yuck, yuck, yuck. What? I interrupt something? We're heading back to my apartment. You're not allowed to ask why, and you're not invited. You sure you don't want to help me with the paperwork? That's when the fun really begins. Hey, you know what's like a great benefit to not actually being paid to be a cop when you're investigating like a murder case? Is that you don't have to do the paperwork. Hey Jake, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. Sorry, Detective. I promised I'd help Scout, and I intend to keep that promise, unlike many of my recent promises, also involving Scout. Fair enough. Thanks for your help today. Both of you. I mean it. Believe it. I'm gonna be Hokage. Let me know if you hear anything from the hospital about Mal. I mean, for sure Mal's gonna, like, wake up and flip the whole case on its head, right? Like, that's how stories work. Will do. And Scout, good luck. I just wanted to say, we're all counting on you. I don't think anyone's gonna find that as funny as I do, but I do enjoy that moment from the movie Airplane. Which one did I do? That one. No whammies. I have nothing more to say to you. Good talk, good talk. Guess I'll go home. Can't you just tell me who we're meeting? Is it the Pope? Is it Robot Pope? Didn't anybody ever teach you to be patient? No, I was programmed, and apparently that wasn't in my subroutines. Sorry, I don't believe it is in my programming. I will add it to my list of requested features for version 2.0. 2.0? We did not even make it to version 1.0. Nani? Scout, this is Jenna. I have grown accustomed to your face. You do? That is amazing. Your long-term memory must have self-repaired. Yeah, that sounds right. Do you remember how you know me? I doubt it. He has trouble making connections between images and data. You should have seen what he thought were my car keys. Oh, that's a good throwback. You worked at the place where I was built. Seems like he is making connections just fine to me. Not a connection, an educated guess. I remember your face, but the associated data is corrupted. Therefore, I know you are from a time before I wiped my memory. All my recovered memories from that time have involved the place where I was built, so you must also be from there. Full self-awareness, logical extrapolation. Your entire personality matrix is intact. Impressive. Especially considering the condition my condition was in. You were never supposed to end up on a scrap heap, Scout. You were supposed to be blown to smithereens. Then what happened? I need to get that missing data. Give me a second to get set up. What data? What is she doing? Jenna has a plan. She can write a modification to disable the black box routines they placed in you. You set all this up without asking me? I couldn't risk mentioning it earlier. We had to be sure it was even possible. I thought we told each other everything. I thought we finished each other's sandwiches. Okay, I am going to hook Scout's neural net to get some diagnostic data. They're really, like, tapping a little bit into the Star Trek Next Generation specific terminology with the... It's fine. It doesn't matter. Is it safe to move around? I was going to learn to breakdance today. Sure. Just let me know if you feel anything unusual. You know, latency spikes, neural pathway errors, melted circuits, La Bamba. What was that last one? Jenna, I have some questions. Ask away. Just try not to hover too close to the TV. It screws up my connection. What will this modification do? It is a patch to block or reroute your weapon subroutines. If it works, they will be completely disabled. You would not be able to use them, even if you wanted to. And if it doesn't work? I kind of just out of like a morbid sense of humor, I really want the answer to that to be like, well, in that case, you would only be able to use your weapons ever again. That's the only thing you could do. One thing at a time, Scout. Where was I created? You were designed and built at SSI Labs, not far from here. It was a purpose-built facility for research and development. And the Scout project was the crown jewel. Are the labs still there? I do not know. Probably not. They sold pretty much everything when SSI shut down. Scout project? Scout. Self-contained, operating... I forget the rest. One of Tom's little jokes. I swear, it stood for something different every week. Who is Tom? Tom Schmidt, your hardware engineer. He would have been proud to see how you turned out if you hadn't killed him in a bloody accident. I have an important question, one I have wanted an answer to for some time. Why did you build me? The goal was to create a robot that could operate in places too dangerous for humans. Radiation, extreme heat, flooding, balloon parade. So I can swim? Tested to a depth of 3,000 feet. I wanted you to be able to find and help people. That's why I took the job. Honestly, that might be the most impressive thing about Scout. Considering that this is set in the 90s and he's made out of like a VCR and stuff, I am skeptical that that should be possible. So what changed? You were too much of a success. Your ability to not only assess situations, but also reason and adapt to changes. Once they saw what Scout could do, SSI wanted the project to refocus on military applications for deployment into combat zones. There's no money in saving lives, but there's a lot of money in taking them. Exactly. I fought it every step of the way, but it was no use. They set up a defensive systems research division and gave them complete access to the project. One morning I came back into the lab and Scout was not where I left him. I ran a memory check and someone had added new code I could not access. After that, it started happening more regularly. Tom and I did not know what they were doing, but we could guess. I remember what I did. When I woke up, all my memory banks were corrupt. At first, I thought they had been damaged, but then I started remembering things about the lab. About you. I remembered the truth. I deleted those memories, and now I know I know what I did. I do not really want to talk about it. I don't want to hurt people, Jenna. Not again. If this modification works, you will not be able to. Now, can we change the subject? Okay, I have got the data. Now I just need to write the patch. How long will it take? Hard to say. I have never had to access this part of the code before. Hi, Detective, what's up? To shreds, you said. What? Okay, we'll be right there. What's wrong? It's Mal. He's dead! Well, I mean, it's still gonna take the... It's gonna flip the case on his head, just not in the exact way I thought it was going to. Frankly, this should have been my guess, that he would just turn up dead, because I feel like that's kind of just like everyone just dies and... Like, I sometimes joke that, like, Phoenix Wright is, like, a terrible fictional world to live in, because, like, everyone is constantly being murdered all the time, sometimes for basically no reason at all. But, like, people, like, really do drop like flies in this universe, I feel. So, like, yeah, I probably should have guessed he would just die. I was kind of hoping we'd go in a different direction, but, like, yeah, we could do this, too. I think the cereal is a good choice. I hope it helps you feel better, Neko. But he was in the hospital. He was getting better. I don't understand either. Cross is waiting downtown to fill us in on the details. Larry Butts is considered a reliable witness. Yeah, that's concerning. But then again, like, we also cross-examined, like, a parrot and some stuff. I mean, there's some issues there. I mean, on the one hand, it's good because, like, ostensibly the true ending is always the actual outcome, and, like, justice is served as much as it can be. But, like, people die, like, all the time. What about my software patch? Can I go? Sure. I will just sit here on my own. That is cool. Do not worry about me. Would you prefer if I stayed to keep you company? What? No, I was being serious. I work better without distractions. But can you grab me a bag of chips while you're out? I am starving. Question, what type of chips do you want? Okay, just making sure. Back, please. Back, please. Your question is, will the patch on the back will ever be filled in? Nah, there's too many movies to watch. Very relatable. Speaking of very relatable, I haven't yet plugged that anime that I was watching this week. I'm pretty sure that there's like a 0% overlap in the target audience for this anime and people who watch my stream. But I watched an anime that released late last year on Netflix called Romance Killer, and I highly recommend it. It's extremely good. I personally found the main character to be very relatable, and it was very funny, and it does what I think like a truly exceptional parody like will manage to do, which is that like it is both like excellent at making fun of like the tropes of romantic stories, particularly like romantic animes, and is itself like a good romantic anime. So like it functions whether you want to make fun of it or not, which is good. Where am I going? The police station? Not the hospital for some reason? Maybe she'll tell you if you present different seasoning as evidence. That'd be really funny. You like go to the fridge and have to solve like a series of nonogram puzzles to figure out what we can like make her for dinner. It's like, yeah, I think we may have lost the plot at some point. Speaking of very relatable movies to watch, Titan is messed up. I don't think I've heard of that. Alright, that does sound messed up. I came as quick as I could. Is Mal really... Yeah, someone got to him. It was me! He pulls out his gun and kills us. What an unceremonious conclusion to this case and game. You know what's actually, like, really weird? I feel like we're at a point in the game, being relatively late in the last case, that I would actually expect a higher frequency of puzzles, and it's been, like, the lowest frequency of puzzles, like, per capita, maybe the entire game. Like, it feels weird to me. The hospital hasn't released an official statement, but I saw it for myself. Mal is dead. How'd he die? Smothered to death with a pillow. Simple, but effective. And quiet. Medical examiner says it happened within the last hour. Brazen cuss... Oh my god. I hate you. The prime suspect has got to be whoever attacked him in the first place, but I thought that was Ray. Well, that's because you're pretty bad at your job. You ever stop to ask if Clyde Musselman was left-handed? Is all I'm gonna say to you. You just, like, very pointedly let him go, thus almost confirming, without any evidence, that he is in fact the killer. Me too, but he's still locked in a cell. Either he's learned how to teleport or we've got a problem. I don't think those are mutually exclusive. I think if he's learned how to teleport, you have a problem. Was there any evidence? Oh, such a good cop. Nothing. The place was totally clean. It's almost as if it had been sterilized for his adequate medical treatment. This was a professional job. Done by professional cleaners, or maids or something. Our biggest witness is dead and we've got nothing? Not quite. I pulled the CCTV, which isn't what you call that in America, just as a reminder that this game is British. How'd you get the CCTV so fast? It's a brand new system, all digital. Only got installed a week ago. There's a good chance the killer had no idea. A digital recording, I could scan through it. That's what I was counting on. Here's the disc. Turn it into like an onogram or something. Hey, cool, let's turn it into an onogram or something. Hey, Sarah, welcome to the stream. How's it going? You're just in time because we're going to do a puzzle, and then, depending on how long this takes, maybe end the stream, but we won't end the stream without doing an unboxing, and I feel like you'll appreciate it. Apparently slept through dinner in the first half of the stream. Oh, no. I'm assuming that you weren't making the dinner that you slept through, or I have some logistical questions. I hope that you managed to find food. Hey, Kronos, welcome to the stream. As the current VIP, you also get greeted with this when I remember to, which isn't often enough, and I apologize for that. Sometimes I swear I push the button and it doesn't register it, but I'm afraid to press it twice because I think it'll break the thing, so that's why there was an awkward pause there. You can assume user error and just be right, but I just wanted to clarify user error. Nico says, it's a good thing they have to install new CCTV that only Scout could understand. Yeah, it's a lucky break. We get a lot of those. It was Cheesecake Factory. Oh my god. Hold on. I got something for this. Hold tight, everyone. Hold on to your butts. Return to the past now! Did it work? Did you get the Cheesecake Factory? I don't actually know if this is hooked up to anything. It took a lot of work to set up, and it probably would have been easier to figure out actual time travel, but I don't actually think that helped.
It's somewhat effective!
Is that good or bad? I don't know. Okay, so the difference between 15 and 11 is 4, so we get all but 4 overlap here with the big number. And the difference between 15 and 9 is 6, so we get a small little bit of overlap. But these are the top group of 2 for their various columns. Yeah. Sorry if the effort wasn't more helpful, but you know, I tried. Missing out on Cheesecake Factory is like the biggest of bummers, but I'm pretty biased in that. So now we have this split into 2 small groups, and I need 2 groups filled in. So this is 6 spaces, and 4 of them are filled in. So I get 2 overlap. And here is 1, 2, 3. It's also 6, and I need 5 filled in. So I get all but 1. Okay. I can apply the overload principle where there are groups of 4. Because even if it reached all the way to the top, this has to be part of the top group, and it would have to reach down to here. Which is apparently the whole leftmost group for this row. She says, can't wait for Vasco to get to the back half of these puzzles. They're really good. Well, I look forward to it. I think they're lungs, though. I think they might be lungs. Nico says she wants to try Cheesecake Factory, but is scared due to the insane calories. Here's something to keep in mind. The portion sizes at Cheesecake Factory and other American restaurants, but like Cheesecake Factory is like a stellar example of this. It is not meant for one sitting. It's like you pay like a little bit of a premium to get what's more or less intended to be like 2 meals. So yeah, you do that, and then maybe you eat even a little less if you're trying to save room for like a cheesecake. And if you do go to Cheesecake Factory, Neko, you're pretty much obliged to try some excellent novelty cheesecake. By the way, over here, this space, it's got to be part of my top group of 3. It's a filled-in space out of only 3 spaces, and it's blocked off on the other side, so that's just how that works. And because there's only 1 group in the top row, I now know that this has to be continuous, which means that's the exact location of those groups as well. So now what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So none of these can be filled in the top row. American portions are so big to begin with, it would give you a week's worth of food. But you say you worry it would give you a week's worth of food. Explain that concept. Why would you worry about having like lots of good? Oh, this is now the whole group of 5 because I had to block that out. Okay, fair enough. That's good. That's progress. And then because of the same thing as over here, this has to be the top group of 3, which then makes both of these things continuous and apparently finishes both of the groups immediately. It's weird. I don't know how intentional it is, but like in this portion of the game, there's these like really like insular sort of puzzle bits where you'll like start at the top and then you'll like work around it and then you'll complete the top without, like, ever having to look at anything else. Which is, like, not how those puzzles work for most of the game. But yeah, now I get to use the wall principle and count these down as groups of 2, which rounds out this group of 4 here. Then we close these off, and close that off as a group of 1 there. This one gets to go a little bit further because it's the start of a group of 2. However, I now have a filled-in space here, and that makes it part of the rightmost group because of its proximity to the edge, so it just reaches all the way over. And then makes that the top group of 1 for both of those columns, which is kind of neat. And then somewhere in here, 2 spaces are filled in. Echo says she doesn't have fridge space for that many leftovers. I mean, in fairness, even like one of these large it's like as big as like my keyboard, maybe, is like their biggest like take-home container, and even that's an exaggeration. It's not quite that big, but it's like that would be like the thing you're describing as like taking a week to eat, somewhat in jest, fairly, but in jest. But like, I feel like you could fit probably one of that in your fridge. IHOP isn't that good. I'd say slander, but that's technically true. I still like IHOP though, I'll be honest. I've never been to a Waffle House though. That could be true. I don't know if that's better. These are the top groups for the rows. That's finished. This can't be filled in because there's only groups of 2, and that's just 1 space. Denny's is better than both. Oh man, this fight's about to go down in chat. People watching on the YouTube VOD, what's your favorite American diner-esque chain? Wow. Wait, how is Wawa even comparable to Denny's? I feel like that's not similar enough to make that comparison. Oh, it's going off, man. 1 and 8. I get something out of 1 and 8, don't I? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got a little bit of overlap there. Instead of clearing 1, I made 2. That's good. Shoney's was good. Are they even around anymore? I assume they are, but I don't know. I haven't been to one in many years. I mean, like, Wawa does, like, breakfast sandwiches, but, like, if they don't make, like, pancakes and or French toast, like, I don't feel like you could put it in the same conversation. Speaking of, I went to Jack in the Box earlier this week, another chain restaurant. Not exactly a breakfast place, but it's like a fast food place that does breakfast all day, their version of breakfast. And sometimes when I'm feeling cheeky, I'll get like basically a side of tiny pancakes. They give you just like a little box with some like silver dollar sized pancakes and like a little dipping cup. And it's very insane and terrible for that to be a thing, but I do it sometimes and it's fun. And like this week I was going there after like running some errands and I was like, I'm gonna be good today and I'm not gonna get pancakes as a side because that's insane and I acknowledge it. And then they had like French toast sticks and I was like, well, I suppose I could have something that's worse. Diners are just better. Okay, like, here's the problem. I live in Los Angeles. The not chain restaurant presence is, like, extremely hit or miss. And not just in quality, in, like, merely existing. There's, like, no good local pizza. Like, basically at all. Like, depending on your neighborhood, there's, like, some good, like, family-run, like, ethnic food restaurants. It's pretty easy to find, like, Mexican if you want it. So, like, going to, like, a Mexican fast food restaurant's, like, kind of wild. Unless it's, like, what you're really into. And I'll admit, like, I'm, like, a total fast food junkie, so, like, you know, I make bad decisions. I have pancakes and French toast as a side, because I'm American and problematic. But yeah, I mean, like, the problem is just that, like, I can only immediately think of one, like, local... There's even, like, a few, like, local diner chains that are still chains that I haven't seen other places. But, like, I can only think of, like, one place that is, like, a truly, like, local diner around here. And I'll admit I've never gone there, but it just... all the trappings look like it hasn't been updated since, like, 1977. How are the French toast sticks? They were extremely good, thank you for asking. But you guys have street corn. Yes! But, like, you kind of have to go really specific places. You kind of have to go to, like, a region with, like, enough of, like, a cultural presence that you'll get, like, vendors walking around with carts. Because, like, there's not a lot of, like, sidewalk/walking infrastructure in LA at large. Pizzasaurus is good in Northridge. Is that true, Jakey? Because I've seen Pizzasaurus and I wanted to go there, and I always forget because it's, like, a little off the path from where I go, but I do sometimes find myself in the area. I've never actually known anyone to go there, and I'm surprised you have that insight, but that's probably good for me to know. Uh, 1977 decor is required. Well, I mean, I'd prefer it if it looked like it had passed, like, a health inspection between 1977 and now. Actually, no, you know what? This is a good point. There was actually a really good diner that I liked in North Hollywood that, like, closed, then moved, then, like, got shut down, and then reopened somewhere else, and then closed forever. And I used to go there a good amount when it was still open, but it was, like, the only one I knew of, and it's been so long since it's been open, I legitimately forgot about it. I haven't thought about it in a really long time. I honestly can't even remember the name of it. I think it was, like, 1950s diner, or something, like, extremely generic and, like, terrible for SEO purposes. Don't tell me hints, Demolish. I'm not even looking at the puzzle. I'm just arguing about diners. There's probably something I could do. I'll find it eventually. Yeah, it's funny. Welcome to the stream. And thank you, Angel Iron, for the ongoing gift sub. It's true, I have frequent... because, like, it's... the Pizzasaurus is relatively close to where my parents are. And there's, like, a way I'll go there that I sometimes pass it. And I'm like, you guys ever go to Pizzasaurus Rex? It's a good name for a pizza restaurant. There are a couple, like... there's, like, a small chain and, like, a local pizza restaurant that are, like, kind of close to me. And they're, like, both okay. But, like... and this may, and in fact does, tell you something about me. But, like, their prices are such that if I would go to them, I would probably still rather just go to Little Caesars. But I'm biased because I'm, like, the guy who actually likes Little Caesars. As we've discussed at length in chat before. 3 and 8 looks like I could probably do something with that, huh? 1, 2, 3... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or... 1, 2, 3... I guess it's just -3. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so... this is close enough to the highest point here that I know it has to be part of my next group, which is 5. And because it's 5, the overload principle tells me it has to reach down to at least here, where it would make 5, if it started at the highest point. Little Caesars is good. Also, I need to go again before the pretzel crust goes away, which is probably going to be soon. Listen, I know everything about pretzel crust pizza is like a crime against food, but, like, just arrest me then. It's fine. These are all small groups, that's not helpful. Anything useful here? I know that this has to be part of my next highest group because I can't fit a whole 2 between there, but I also know that if this space is part of a group of 2, it can't reach to this. And then, interestingly, if I look at this row, I know that this space could never be filled because it would have to be at least part of a group of 2. So then, the overlap extends further. Because now, if it starts here, it has to reach at least here to become a group of 5. What's the crime against food? It's okay. It's called pretzel crust pizza. The crust is debatably pretzel in nature. It's a fast food restaurant. The ingredients are probably not the best. It tastes vaguely like pretzel dough and has like rock salt or whatever you call the chunky salt on it. And then instead of like pizza sauce, it has like nacho cheese on it. Again, I understand it's insane. You're just not going to stop me with that argument. You're just not going to do it. Mm, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I probably get something out of this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Space 1, 2, space 1, space 1, 2. Or rightmost iteration 1, 2, space 1, space 1, 2, space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically what we get is those 3 points, which is fine. That's something. Nope, missed. Given the small nature of numbers here, I don't think I know anything about which group these are in. I do know that this space is part of the group of 3 because it's 2 spaces away from the highest point it could reach, but that doesn't actually tell me anything because it's already close enough. It's the California chain that's Italian family style. I don't actually know it to be Californian. Are you possibly thinking of Buca di Beppo? I don't know the origin of it. I know it exists here. The only other place I have... No, I've seen it 2 places. I've seen 2 that are relatively local to here and 1 in Las Vegas. Neko says she needs tomato sauce for pizza. At least it doesn't sound sweet. I mean, no, it's not. It's pretty savory. In fairness to me, I do also get extra pizza sauce. I just put it on top of the pretzel pizza because I just really like the pizza sauce at Little Caesars, which again, I'm just really telling on myself here quite a lot. But like, yeah. I mean, I just really like the nacho cheese just works really well with the crust, I find. But like, yeah, it's still like a crime. It's fine. Yeah, I've only been to Buca di Beppo like twice. The serving sizes are, I mean, those are the serving sizes she tells you not to worry about. But Neko, you should in fact be very worried about them. 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think again I could probably get something out of this with a group of 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, etc. I guess is how that would work. Or 1 space 1, 2 space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we get 3 points again, which makes sense. Ooh. Wait, what am I looking at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? 11, right? Out of 12? Ugh. I'm glad this cereal helped a little, Neko. You don't get to order pizza sauce here. I mean, like, you can do it at Little Caesars because it's like a... You basically can have it as like a dipping sauce for their breadsticks, which I usually order. So, like, you could just get the side from that and use it on your pizza without pizza sauce on it. And build your own extremely confusing, highly caloric pizza. That's not true, actually. I ran the math on it when the last time I ordered pretzel crust pizza, and even with the added pizza sauce, it Really, actually wasn't very many calories. I was kind of worried about that. It feels like scientifically that shouldn't be true. 9? 9 out of 10, huh? That ought to be doable. 1, 2, 3, space, 1, 2, 3, space 1. Or like 1, space, 1, 2, 3, space, 1, 2, 3. That's cool. Alright, so right away we know that's all one continuous group of 5. And we also know, using the wall principle, that's the group of 3 there. So now, 5... Nope, that is exactly the same as it ever was. Nico says, my favorite pizzas here have the crust stuffed with extra cheese. With extra pizza sauce. Oh. I've seen, I mean, like, cheese stuffed crust is like kind of a thing here. And I've heard of like pepperoni stuffed crust. I don't know if I've heard of crust stuffed with extra pizza sauce. That's an interesting idea. We can also use the wall principle on these. Count that group of 3 over and this group of 2 over. And then... So... I'm only missing 2 groups here. So these 2 are clearly part of the top group. I'm not looking for a group of 6. They're not the same thing. So the important thing, I guess, is that this space has to be blank. 2, 4, or like 1. Yeah, I think that's about as much as I can get out of that. Yes, Lark says, hear me out. Pizza crust stuffed with more pizza. You ever see the SNL sketch Taco Town? With, like, Andy Samberg and some other people I don't remember, as well as Andy Samberg being in it? If not, watch it. It's very good. It basically makes fun of that whole American mentality we're sort of skating around, which is, yeah, just like... And then the whole thing gets dropped in a tote bag filled with guacamole. Like... Emotion, you're very gung-ho on the hints. I probably can do one more, but I'm gonna not do one more out of spite. Now we'll see if I can still do it. Alright, hang on. So we got, this is 1, 2, 8, 9, 10. So 10 out of 15. But there's a group of 6, so I might get something out of this. And like 1, but like obviously not. And like 1 space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what you're telling me is I get 1 space. Understood. What does that tell me? That tells me that this is part of the group of 3. And because there are no groups of 4, this now has to be blank, and then this has to be filled in, and then this would be blank, and then this would be blank, and I still need 1 more under that, so that's filled in, and then this is blank, and then one of those 2 is filled in. That was a lot of work we just got done. Very quickly. This is a weird puzzle in that it feels like it's mostly an exercise in patience. Is that, like, a lot of these rows, if you kind of just check them once, you'll get something, and it'll lead you to something. Which is, at its core, the basic principle of a non-gram puzzle. Yes, granted, I realize how dumb I sound, but I feel like it's more so than usual, because sometimes you'll get that, like, 1 point, and then, like, 2 hours later, you're like, ah, good. I'm glad that point's filled in, because now I know what's going on. Or, at least if you're me, that takes 2 hours. Like, a normal person probably, like, doesn't take that long. It's fine. But my point sort of being like, I haven't looked at this at all. There's a whole group of 5 in here somewhere. Probably do something with that. So, like, 1 space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 down here. Or, like, I guess... There's, like, literally no way that this can be anything other than the bottom group of 2, and it can't reach to here, and also this needs to be blank on either side. So, like, that space has to be blank. So then the bottom version would look like 1, 2, space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, all of that is definitely filled in, and I just don't know if it goes up or down. That sounds right. Hang on. I need to take a look at this rope for a second real quick. So I got my group of 5, and I have this, which is 1 blank space, but my next group in order is 2, so this is blank, which then means that this has to be my group of 2. And then that's blank, and then that's blank, and then the whole row is actually done. Actually, it turns out. And now that we have a point filled in here, we get to apply the overload principle, which says that I'm missing a whole group of 7 here. Now that I have some frame of reference for where it goes, I can tell you that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those are filled, and that group can never reach down here while being one continuous group of 7. Similarly, I can tell you that here I'm missing only a group of 3 that I have 1 space filled in for. Anything that's more than 2 spaces away, it's not part of it. And then that makes the rightmost group of 1 for 2 different rows. And that does nothing in particular to help me sort out this column. Okay. Here, this got filled in, and that should make it a group of 2 there, which is fine. So this here should be part of my topmost group of 3. Topmost remaining group of 3. The second group of 3 from the top of this column. Because I wouldn't be able to fit a new group between my endpoint and here. But also, the group of 3 can't reach to this. Like the rest of that for now, I think. And that... Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's only 6. Okay, so there's only 6 spaces here. And 5 of them have to be filled in to make the bottom group of 5 for this column. And since I already have, like, a defined endpoint, that means, like, that has to be where that group goes. Doesn't tell me all that much, actually. So because the rightmost group in both of these rows is 1, and there's only 1 possible space, so I can't fit another 1 and a blank to make it a different group, that means that these have to be the rightmost group of 1. Which also defines the exact position of that group of 3 and finishes that column. And we get to count these over using the wall principle as the endpoint for a group of 3, 4, 5, 6. And a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that finishes that run. Now that this is blanked out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blank. You know, no, I think until this was filled in as a blank, there were still other possibilities. Question says, if you have Disney Plus Star Wars Visions launched, yes, I haven't heard of that. How are there more Star Wars shows happening, and I haven't even heard of them? Oh, that reminds me of the other weird... So I didn't watch the whole... There's like a 50-minute documentary on Netflix on the making of 1899, which feels wild to me in a number of ways, but it exists. It wasn't recommended to me simply for watching and liking 1899. I had to like do some digging for other stuff and happened to find it incidentally, which is also weird. But in the little clip they showed, they were talking about how they were using the volume, which is the technology they developed to make The Mandalorian, in order to do 1899, which I thought was kind of interesting. It makes a certain amount of sense, but didn't seem obvious. Apparently also at some point I finished this whole group of 7, so that's cool, I did that. 1899, is it as good as Space 1999? I'm gonna be honest, I know of Space 1999. It's a gap in my TV knowledge, which is extensive to the point of problematic. So, like, it's genuinely pretty surprising, I would think, that I haven't actually seen that one. Now, I know it's extremely rare for there to be, like, a TV show that came out, like, more than 2 years ago that I haven't seen. Listen, I have problems. I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't think I've ever lied about that. Oh, this is a finished group of 3 now. I don't know what's going on over there. So I have 4 continuous spaces. Pretty sure that's my 1 group of 5 there now, since I have an endpoint for it. And then that gets filled in. That's my 2. And then this is some overlap, because 2 of these 3 have to be filled in, so the middle is always full. Which then makes that the exact group of 3 and the exact group of 4. See, I don't need to fill that in demolition. Spite. Oh, I also have an endpoint here, so that makes my group of 6. And in this column, 2 is the biggest group, so that one's done too. Yeah, 1899 is very mysterious and enjoyable. I agree. And I also said that there will be no season 2. They did it with... Wait, is that true? They only did it with 2 weeks of data? I know that I thought the norm was 3 weeks, which is still, like, genuinely absurd. Like, I just, like... Here's the thing. So, like, I get it's like a business, right? And like every show you make, every episode of every show you make as Netflix is like a business investment. Like, I understand that. I understand it's not intrinsically about the art. But like, they have to understand that like people have lives and that like 2 weeks is not a sufficient amount of time to gauge interest in something. And like, furthermore, have they never heard of like a cult show that like picks up a following like after the fact? Like, it's just really bothersome. I think they only made the announcement relatively recently, but they do, as far as I know, Netflix always bases their information on like less than a month. The figure I've heard is 28 days worth of like viewer data. To the point that I went down a little rabbit hole looking up the stuff about 1899 after watching it. Apparently, like, it's kind of an established thing where in some instances, when people are super excited about a show but don't have the time to watch it, they will, like, mute their device and, like, have their device watching it just so it looks like people are watching it. It's like, that's not healthy for anyone. Like, that's very problematic. Yeah, it did blow up. But that's exactly the thing. It blew up after the fact. Because, like, sometimes, like, word of mouth is definitely a valid advertising strategy. If you make a good product, sometimes not everyone knows about it right away, especially if you don't advertise. Like, I hadn't heard of 1899 until my mom had mentioned it to me. I'd seen zero marketing for it. I'd heard nothing about it, even though it's apparently made by the people who did Dark, which, as far as I know, is considered, like, a huge Netflix success. So like, it's super wild to me that they wouldn't have like advertised that more. But so like, when you're not gonna invest in advertising, the next best thing is to like make something so good people just want to talk about it, and then people will watch it. So like, it just seems so ridiculous to like make that decision based on like nothing. So we got some wall principle acting here. This is the start of a group of 3 that ends there. This is the start of a group of 2. And it ends there and also finishes that column, and apparently the later half of this row. And also this row in its entirety. Looking at here. I don't think I know. There's enough permutations I can't say for sure. How many seasons did Mindhunter get? Because I remember that coming out and being kind of explosive. Like, people were talking about that a ton. And, like, did it get, like, 2 seasons, even? Or did they just, like, cancel it, like, way too early? 2 at least, but, like, still. Since they went American instead of German, it must have been a factor. Explain exactly what you mean by that, Demolition. I'm curious, because, like, obviously Dark is entirely in German, whereas 1899 is in, like, 8 different languages simultaneously, regardless of which language you're watching it in. Oh, I got this filled in, so that means it is part of the placement for the group of 3, which has to reach this far and can reach no further than that. So one of those is filled in and one is not. That makes this part of my bottom group of 2, which makes this the next group up, which doesn't give me any useful information about that. I thought I don't know if you were if you had joined us yet or if you had stepped away when I mentioned it before, Letters, but like I was saying before after watching 1899 this week that like I found it really fascinating how much of a language barrier there was like within the context of the show. That like sometimes like someone would give like a whole like impassioned monologue of like their backstory and their feelings, and like they're talking to someone who just speaks a completely different language, and so they basically just like stare blankly at them and they're like, I don't know what you said, but like yeah. And I'm like, what? Like honestly, to me, I feel like it would be interesting to see that specific aspect of the story played for more like almost like horror or at least like drama. It's like present in 1899, but like there's something genuinely scary to me about like a dangerous situation where like the people like can't even communicate with each other about like the danger that's happening. Like if you keep that in mind watching some of those scenes, that whole situation's like even scarier than it seems like it would be. Now, hang on a second. So, this should be blank because the rightmost group has to be 1. So it has to be this. It can't be the leftmost square anymore. So then, that means that I have 10 squares and 8 of them are filled. So all but 2 should be overlap, which apparently finishes this column. And then the only missing groups here are 1. I was really panicking for a second, but that should be fine because that just means these are filled in to finish the row. And as long as that doesn't break anything, we're still fine. So I already have my group of 2, so this is my bottom group of 1, so this is blank. And then one of those is filled in. What's 1899 about? Well, it is basically about like a ship in the year 1899 crossing the Atlantic from Europe to the United States and encountering like a famously lost ship, or a signal they think is from a famously lost ship. And they stop to investigate because they think they might still be able to help some of the people who would have been lost on the ship. And then weird stuff happens when they follow the signal. I think is a mostly spoiler-free version of the basic premise. The other thing I said earlier, which I think you weren't around for, Neko, is that, like, I feel like Uchikoshi would love 1899. I feel like it would be completely up his alley. So, Letters, hear me out. I did the same thing. I'd heard, like, a ton of great things about Dark, and then I watched the first, 5 minutes and was like, I'm not here for this at all. And then I just kept continuing to hear such, amazing things about it that I gave it one more chance. And admittedly, I strongly believe that Dark is not for everyone. But it might be worth giving it a little more of a chance if you had been interested in the idea. Neko says, so it's 999. There are lots of overtones of 999 in 1899. Indeed, they do have similar old-timey ship settings. Like, roughly the same time period. You know, the Titanic was in, like, the 19-teens or something, right? So, like... Yeah, it's, like, 20 years later. So... This has to be the end point of this group of 3, which means that the groups of 3 both look like that, which is super cool. And then one of these is... There's a lot of, like, and one of these is filled in. Yeah, no, like, there's, like, I don't want to get too much into it because it might start being spoilery, but, like, there are multiple things that happen in the course of 1899, and, like, Uchikoshi would appreciate this. Or, as I think Haggis is the one who likes to just randomly chime in when we're, like, doing, like, weird conspiracy theory things in games, like, have you ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment? So, like, these have to be filled in to finish this group of 8, which apparently finishes both of these columns. And then, oh, I need 2 more groups of 1, and I only have 3 spaces left over. That's good. And then one of these is filled in. And then one of these is filled in. Perfect. Great. Oh, because I just filled this in, that's the positioning for the last group of 2 there, which fills in the last spot for that group of 3, and also for this row. That all checks out nicely. This is filled in because I changed something at some point, and now that's the direction that group of 2 goes, which finishes the whole bottom row. And I still need 1 over here, so that's filled in. This is empty. This is empty. I still need 2 groups of 1, so, like, that looks like that finishes the row. And then the last spaces are all filled in, yes? What am I looking at? Is it... I want to say it's Falco from Star Fox. Is that possible? No, it's a... Alright, now... okay, now... conceptually, I understand. The camera is not the footage. The files are in the computer? Do you understand? When he said he was going to scan the footage... I don't feel like there's a reasonable expectation that I will find the image of a whole entire camera. I feel like that's goofing. I don't know why that's true. Like I said, Haggis went to sleep early tonight. He was sad to miss out on your Andor rant. Well, hey, as far as I can tell, my video encoder hasn't tried to self-destruct today, so, like, it will go on to YouTube without me having to edit it for, like, 2 whole hours. I can't tell you. I had like 4 distinct mental breakdowns last Saturday trying to get that footage edited from last week's Disco Elysium. I hated it. I was like almost not depressed, and now I'm like full depressed again. And I know that's not exactly how that works, but also it's my lived experience, and that's basically how that works. Good night, Letters. Thanks for hanging out. And also for essentially, seconding the notion to watch 1899. It was a great experience, and I'm sad that it didn't get renewed, but I'm definitely glad I watched it. Let me know if you ever end up trying Dark again. You may or may not like it. It's really good for what it is, but, like, it has some problems, too. I don't know. I vacillate a little bit on it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know, man. Some stuff happens I don't like. And then sometimes I'm like, it is good, though. I could talk at length about my biggest problem with it, which isn't strictly a problem, but is like a personal issue with trying to write that story, but it's extremely spoiler-written to talk about, so I'm not gonna. B-rank? Brank? Crank. Digital footage downloaded. Or maybe I just looked at a camera. It's unclear. Scanning frames. Focus on the footage from about an hour ago. Look for anything unusual. Suspicious figures. I have something. It's Clyde. Nani? Hey, impossible. There's no way that could be true, right? How could it be possible that, like, basically the only possible human being who could have been responsible had done it? C'est incroyable. The footage is conclusive. White male, prominent facial scar, wearing a white uniform with a cap, left-handed. Gee, remember? Was anyone here, like, 50 minutes ago when I was like, maybe we should, like, at least check all the people associated with this case to see if they're left-handed before we determine that Ray did a murder? Is anyone here for that? Is it just me talking to the chatbot at that point? Although, in fairness, I feel like this description is running dangerously close to that thing I hated in Phoenix Wright, where they were like, I saw the Silver Samurai! And they hadn't. They saw a guy in a costume. Well, I guess the thing they say is, like, they saw the guy who plays the Silver Samurai, but what they saw was, like, someone in a complete full-body costume that concealed their face, which is definitely a distinct concept. Left-handed? But that means... The pistol was his all along. He shot Lord. All this time, I thought he was just some charter captain, because I have the worst detective instincts of any living creature. For good reason, Ray told us he hired Clyde from an agency, but either he was lying or he really had no idea. I think it's time we find out which. Okay. Afternoon, Ray. How's your cell? Are you here for a reason or just to make wise cracks? About Clyde Musselman. What can you tell me about Clyde Musselman? How have I not noticed that Clyde Musselman, like, in addition to having the 2 S's, which I can get behind, also has, like, an erroneous double N? Is there, like, some secret coded message in this case where if I take all the unnecessary letters and, like, either write them out or, like, descramble them, it tells me what happened to, like, Jimmy Hoffa or something? Just, like, some weird... Is it, like, the nil number? The charter captain? I'd almost forgotten about him. I don't know any more than what I already said. Mal called in sick and the agency sent Clyde as a replacement. Except Mal was locked in the cargo hold. How could he have called in sick? Well, I didn't receive the call myself, but that's what Clyde told me when he arrived, which is unbelievably suspicious. But I guess that doesn't make any difference, because everyone in this case is getting dumber from being around Honor for too long. Reminds you to drink your Ovaltine. What is that from originally? Is that Simpsons? I know I've seen that joke where they, like, use a decoder ring or something and just tells them to drink Ovaltine. Is that just, like, an actual marketing campaign? Oh, a Christmas story. Okay. There's something like that in The Simpsons, though. I just can't remember what it is. But there's, like, a similar bit in there. Like, he gets, like, a decoder ring, and he spends a bunch of time on it, and the message is something really stupid. More than you realize, Clyde was lying to you. Shouldn't you be asking Mal about this? Surely he's awake by now. Nah, he is napping. Dirt napping! Bum bum bum! Yeah, I've been really hamming it up today, Neko, doing that thing that's really disruptive when you're just trying to listen and you don't know if I'm making it up. Just been, like, a way above average amount of lines that I'm just, like, vamping. So, like, you know, take everything in the story with a grain of salt, I guess. He's not gonna wake up, Ray. He's dead. Mel Cruz is dead. Just in case you weren't listening 5 seconds ago, or thought it was like a figure of speech. Now he's, like, dead, though. Like, dead. Dead redemption. He was murdered in his hospital bed. I'm sorry to hear that. I've known Mal for a long time. With your help, we can bring his killer to justice. Look around. Is this your idea of justice? Well, yeah, but keep in mind that I'm an extremely bad detective. Where'd you hire Clyde? Can you give us the details of the hire company you used? I mean, here's the problem, is based on the description we were just given by Ray, like, Clyde Musselman, like, literally just, like, walked on board the ship in a captain's uniform, was like, look at me, I'm the captain now. And Ray was like, yeah, that's fine, I don't care. And, like, that's literally, so, like, there's nothing, we have no evidence that he's actually related to the agency. He could have just, like, blindly, luckily guessed that there was an agency, or done, like, the bare minimum of research to be like, what would happen if Mal disappeared for a day? He'd call the agency? Well, somehow we're preemptive about it, I guess. A crate of salt. Maybe Jenna wanted some ready salted crisps. Or maybe she wanted some pretzel crust pizza from Little Caesars with the chunky rock salt that I don't actually know the correct name for. You hijacked my yacht, arrest my sister, accuse me of murder, and then ask me for help? Yeah, it's about the size of it, sure, pal. You're out of your mind. Why should I trust you? I mean, here's the thing. I understand his position of being, like, distrusting of our offer to help. But, like, he's already currently arrested for murder. What do we have to gain other than not having him be arrested for murder anymore at this point? Why don't you work with us? What a dumb question. You're still on the hook for Lori's murder. If you want to get out of here, you should be working with us, not against us. It'll take more than a few sweet words to get me to trust you and that bullhound of a detective. What if I said we've got a lead that could prove your innocence? We just need your help to confirm it. I'll believe it when I see it. I literally saw someone, like, do crimes. We have CCTV footage of Clyde leaving the hospital where Mal was killed. Caught him red-handed, huh? Left-handed, actually. That's a... Hey, Scout. +2, that's a good zing. Have one of these, because I don't use it enough. I like that. I like that one good. If he murdered Mal, there's a good chance he killed Lori, too. I told you I didn't kill anyone. You've been so focused on your vendetta against us, you ran headfirst towards prosecution with no thought for due process. Hey, guy, listen. I'm trying to help you out. Maybe just, like, shut up. But also, entirely correct, so... I don't have a vendetta against you or your sister. I'm just a really bad detective. Like, I don't know how to... It's really hard for me to just be honest with you about this, but, like, I know it looks bad, but it's honestly worse. I'm just a really bad detective. All I care about is finding the truth. If we could tie Lori's murder to Clyde, you'll be free to go. How am I supposed to help, even if I wanted to? Maybe you've forgotten, but Detective Cross has me locked in a cell. I like this line of dialogue is simply because we couldn't be bothered to even pretend to render a cell. So we had to be like, just as a reminder, I'm not just like standing here talking to you. I'm technically in a prison cell. Now look back at the horse. Now back to me. I guess his shirt is still awful. Well, see, the thing is, it's not actually a shirt. It's active camouflage that's malfunctioning. Which, for some reason, again, reminds me of the Doctor Who magic decks that are coming out. I'm really excited that, like, some of my favorite Doctors are in the ones that in the deck that is my favorite colors. Hopefully, that's good. Oh, also, and this definitely doesn't mean anything to almost anyone in chat, there's this sort of, like, casual play mode in Magic the Gathering called Play Chase, where, like, you use an extra deck of, like, location cards and, like, a die to sort of randomize moving between them, and they have, like, special effects that, like, change the game. So, like, it's just, like, a bonus fun way to play. And, like, they brought it back, like, earlier this year, like, very recently with a product that just came out. And then, like, when they made the announcement about Doctor Who cards, they were like, oh, and also, like, Doctor Who Plane Chase. And I'm like, oh, you got my attention. That sounds pretty good. Kronos asks, have I seen the Lord of the Rings magic cards? Yeah, I don't remember all of everything. I saw that they finally spoiled what You're Tempted by the Ring does, and I'm not, like, a huge fan, to be honest. Are the Doctor Who cards much bigger on the inside? In the announcement, when they posted the stuff that they announced at, like, a Magic event today on Twitter, there's, like, a whole image that's like, look, this is what, like, Doctor Who boosters look like. And it says, like, you know, these collector boosters are bigger on the inside. And then there's, like, a gigantic asterisk that says, our legal team insists we point out that that's not literally true, but, like, we had to say it, or something, like, something like that. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate both the joke and also the extremely large legal disclaimer that kind of makes it funnier in my opinion. Like, I like all of that. Yeah, I've heard good things about March of the Machine Limited. I still haven't played. Perhaps tomorrow we'll go on to the tirade of the other thing that made last Saturday so miserable, which is that some friends and I were planning to do a sort of a pre-release event for March of the Machine that we're gonna do it like virtually through Spell Table, which is what we used to play together. But like obviously to have the physical cards you had to wait for release, so it's definitely not a pre-release, but like I had ordered like a pre-release kit to do that with, and I did it through like TCG Player, which is sort of like a marketplace for card sellers. So it's like various different stores are represented there, and the one that I like happened to place my order through, like closed permanently, like within days of me placing the order, and hasn't like canceled any of those orders. So like just charged a bunch of people a bunch of money and is like trying to scam them. So like now I'm in the process of trying to get a refund for that. So like, yeah, I loved that. In addition to all those mental breakdowns I had, I was having a really good time on Saturday because that's when I found that out also. But the reason I bring that up is I did get a replacement, and hopefully everything works out for Sunday, which is when I'm going to try to do that. Because otherwise it would interfere with the stream, so I'm not doing that. Right now we've got no way to track Clyde down. We need to know who he really is. Can you think of anything that might help? Does he have another alias or two with like multiple redundant consonants in it? Could I still do a chargeback? I mean, I think TCG Player is supposedly like processing a refund, which I mean, I think that's the first thing to try. If that does not succeed in a timely fashion, I might be able to try a chargeback. I don't really want to do that if I don't have to. Thought I was going to say the Pinkerton stole your order. No, it's pretty low-hanging fruit. There were plenty of people on the internet making that joke already. Especially when, like, they finally started... Like, So, like, So, March of the Machine is, like, a major Magic set that came out. And then they're doing this, like, absurd thing with, like, a really small Magic set that comes in, like, 5-card pack. The whole thing's really confusing. I'm not gonna go into it. But, like, there was, like, a whole kerfuffle where someone, like, accidentally got their hands on the product early and then made, in my opinion, an extremely bad decision to post an unboxing video of unreleased Magic product on his YouTube channel for, like, clout. And, he got a lot of attention, and it spoiled, like, most of the cards in the set. And then, the Wizards of the Coast sent, the, like, private security firm that evolved from the Pinkertons to go deal with the situation. So, like, that's not great. But then I saw in the product description on Amazon for, like, that same box, like, the thing he got mistakenly shipped, like, one of the, like, sincere questions and, like, the frequently asked questions is, like, if I buy this, will the Pinkertons come and steal it from me? And the response was, like, some seller on Amazon being like, nah, I paid them off. We're all good. It's just like, what? Like, what's happening here? Anyway, we'll wrap this up soon. He was waiting on the boat when we arrived this morning. Of course I noticed that tattoo right away. That's right, he told us he was in the military, served in Vietnam. Oh yeah, we have like a 20-year-old bullet or some... No, 30-year-old bullet? Yeah, 30-year-old bullet that I completely forgot about because it hasn't been relevant at all. Scout, do you think you could look up his service record? It's possible, but I would need more search parameters. Nah, he's like a guy? Remember the, like, lack of search parameters you had when you're like, it's confirmed that he did a murder in the hospital. It's like a white guy who's left-handed. Like, I feel like you got enough to work with the way this case is going, Scout. Come on, Ray, you're a lawyer. You're supposed to be good at finding little inconsistencies. Now that you mention it, there was something a little strange. When he introduced himself, he said his name was Hyde. He corrected himself right away, so at the time I thought nothing of it. But now I get the feeling he made up a new name on the spot. You think Clyde is really called Hyde? Hyde Musselman? Not exactly an inventive false name, but it's worth a shot. This may be enough information. I can access military records through the police computer. Give me a moment to establish a data link. Okay, now, first, I'm concerned that I'm about to go hacking again, but secondly, I have another objection, which is that, like, moments ago, we were like, all we have to go on is his general physical description, his name, his full name, mind you, and the fact that he was in the military. But that's not enough to find him. Can we use, like, something else to find him? And then Ray's like, well, I'm pretty sure the full name you have is actually a lie, so I can give you a first name that's slightly uncommon. And now we're like, now we have enough to find him. And I'm like, that literally doesn't make any sense. We technically have less information than we did a moment ago. If we couldn't do the search before, we can't do the search now. Bro says, imagine someone messing up their own name and not finding that a little odd. I mean, that's spoken like someone who's never had an embarrassing conversational incident in their life, which I have had many. You're not late at all. No, Sniper Justin, you haven't missed the unboxing I've been teasing the whole time. I'm probably gonna get to it soon. Assuming I don't have to, like, hack for, like, a half hour. I can access the military records through the computer, beep boop. The military? But they must have the tightest security in the country. Uh-oh. Oh no. Whoopsie. They've never got up against me before. Ah, barf. Well, we're gonna just brute force our way through this, because these puzzles aren't fun, and they're the devil, so... that must work like that. This is... that. This is... this. And this. And this. And then this, I guess. I'm sure I'm already behind the curve for where I need to be for these absurd puzzles. 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. This has to be 2, and then this has to be 1. And then 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 5, 3. This has to be this way. 1 and 3 and 1. And oh god. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 1. Oh my god. So that's done, and that's done. That has to be that. This, and this. One shot! Actually getting better at hacking. It's not any more fun, but I'm more successful at it. 0 seconds. Never tell me the odds, Demolition. Stop saying things! I'm almost disappointed by military security. I found an administrator account with the password 123. Right. What kind of idiot would have that as the combination of their luggage? Searching for visual matches with the tattoo on Clyde's... Sorry, I mean Hyde's arm. A really hard time believing we're actually doing that, but I'm just gonna go with it. It seems to be the insignia of the 5th Marine Regiment. Narrowing down search by name, known physical characteristics, and service record. Wait, how did it... Wait, no, I actually have a problem with that. It was hard enough for me to believe that if he was just going to use essentially facial recognition style technology on, like, personnel photos to, like, spot the tattoo on his arm. What search did he do to find just, like, the broad tattoo for a specific, like, Marine regiment? And, like, why would that be stored in, like, the military database? Like, the personnel records instead of, like, some colloquial military, like, ex-military resource or something. One record found, Corporal Hyde Musselman. So that really was his real name? I mean, oh, God. Yeah, he used his own last name. We'll call you L. Simpson. No, that's too obvious. We'll call you Lisa S. Hyde fought at several key battles in Vietnam and remained a member of the 5th Marines until he was dishonorably discharged in 1977. Hey, that's the same year that they passed the last health inspection at that diner I'm thinking of. They kicked him out. What for? Misconduct under Article 90 of the UCMJ, assaulting or willfully disobeying a superior officer. But there's something else you may find more interesting. Hyde was suspected of killing a staff sergeant in a friendly fire incident in 1968. There was a solid case against him, but a key piece of evidence was lost. A bullet casing from 30 years ago. Nani? You mean all this time we've been holding on to evidence from a 30-year-old murder? Hey, we are playing Phoenix right. Sometimes the solution to a puzzle relies on one missing piece of information. Without it, progress is impossible. Yeah. If citation is needed, go watch me, like, not succeed at that puzzle for, like, 20 consecutive minutes last week. Are there any records about what he did after he left the Marines? We still need a way to track him down. The police kept a close watch on him for several years after he was discharged. He drifted between jobs and their records gradually became less detailed. The last entry is from 1991. It simply says, now employed by SSI. Did you just say Hyde worked at SSI? Scout, that's the company that created you. That's the name of the treasure on the Grand Line. Do you think he was involved in my project? Do you think he is responsible for... I'm not sure, but it's a really convenient way to tie up all the plot threads for something like that to be possible. Jenna might tell us. Hooray, I can finally save the game. That took kind of a long time, and I had to do hacking, and I didn't like any of it. This one. This one. You could keep the ambient music. It keeps the ambient sound of the air conditioner at bay. It's me, Big Vasco. How's everyone? Well, that was fun. We solved a couple puzzles. We talked about 1899 for like the 3rd consecutive week. Everyone is obliged to go try a pretzel crust pizza. And I think that about covers it. So, we got 2 things to do. And we'll start one, then do the other, and then finish the first one. So, somewhere on the couch behind me, I have hidden a secret Squirtle. If you could see a Squirtle like this little fella up here, that one's not a secret. Otherwise, pretty much fair game amongst all of my hidden friends. Or my visible friends. All my couch friends. So, consider where you think that Squirtle might be hiding, because, of course, to locate a secret Squirtle is to tap into his secrets and gain good luck in the days to come. So I'll let you all consider that and then recompile those in a minute. But before we do that, we gotta do the other thing that I've been alluding to. So give me a moment. I'll be back. Joint. Box. I didn't open this at all. I debated whether I should, like, open it partially. This felt more fun, but it's also really awkward. Be stuck. Don't be stuck. What's in the box? This is kind of bigger than I expected it to be. I didn't really do the math on it. He's pretty big. He's a big fella. I don't think I doxed myself. He's big. Look how big he is. I really didn't think... Like, okay, for reference... If you guessed behind Pikachu, it wasn't Squirtle. it was Hans the Porcupine. Just to get that out of the way. But so, like... I mean, like... He's just... Like, I figured he'd be roughly Pikachu size, but he's just pretty big. He's a big boy. And how soft is the Togepi? He's very soft! Also, and I learned this recently, if you buy one of these Pokemon Squishmallows from the Pokemon Center directly, they have a Pokeball badge embroidered on the back of them. If you get it somewhere else, like the Pikachu, they don't. I don't know why, but fun fact, I guess. Yeah, right? It's like bigger than life-size Togepi. It's huge. Like, regular Togepi is smaller than this in the anime. This thing is, like, probably, like, 3.5 times the size of a Togepi. It's very weird. I mean, he's cute. He's a good guy. Look at him. He's got those, like, little Charlie Brown-style Togepi eyes. I'm here for it. But, yeah, we have a new, apparently giant friend that I need to find space for. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. My mom says, I've noticed that Amazon, they're frequently off on their measurement. I mean, it's tough, right? Because, like, the Squishmallows come in a few, like, predetermined sizes, but, like, I'll give you another example, right? Hold on a second. Actually, hold on. Gotta gather some guesses, because this is gonna start disrupting the couch when I do this. So I see behind Groot. Behind Pikachu. I'll give you your second guess, Devolution. Behind Donut Cap. Like the pirate hat on Carlos. I do too, Castleard. And shout out to Neko for making the hat. It's very good. I was thinking today how much joy the small hat has given me over a reasonably large amount of time. Behind Lorenzo. And Power Ranger. Under the new Narwhal. Under Carlos. Basically everything. Basically everything has been guessed. That's fine. We'll start here. So, here's Maria Novella. Is the recent Narwhal that I got for Easter. She's much smaller than Togepi, right? But, like, I'm pretty sure that she's supposed to be in the same size category as Carlos. Pretty sure. But, like, I don't know, she's like a little, it doesn't show up as well on camera. She's like a little smaller than him. I don't know, maybe she's just squished weird. Maybe if I squish her more, she'll be like the same size as him. But, I don't know. Basically, the point is, it's not a perfect science. They're just perfect little fellows. They're good friends. Love Carlos. So yeah. Yes, Carlos was hanging out over here. This is also behind Lorenzo. This is my very good Tunic Fox friend that Cotillion sent me. It's very good. He's extremely soft and has good face. Under the Narwhal and behind our sea monster friend was Eva. Eva. And if you were worried that Wally wasn't hanging out, well, I can tell you that Wally's hanging out over here by our buddy Groot. He's on my shirt 8 times. Wait, if I position him like this, now we have a perfect Groot grid. Think Demolition had guessed behind Donut Cat. That's where I put the Widow Carlos. And then the only other guess I noticed was behind the Red Power Ranger. Yeah, I didn't hide anything back there. We just got our map. So you may be asking yourself, where is Squirtle? Well, I'll tell you, I actually double bluffed you, I think for the first time ever. Because Secret Squirtle was behind little Lorenzo. So who was it who guessed Lorenzo? There were a lot of guesses, so I didn't track it. Sarah. There you go. You did it, Sarah. You thought that you didn't, but you did. When I've been working on a better storage solution so that they don't just spend all their time on my couch and then overflow into my bedroom also. And I put Lorenzo and little Lorenzo away, and little Lorenzo was just staring at me from inside his container all week, and I'm like, I gotta put that guy on the couch. He's making me sad. I mean, he's making me happy because he's smiling at me, but like I feel like I need to give him a hug. So that'll do it for this evening. Congratulations to Sarah Rocks Aqua in chat. We'll be back tomorrow night for some more Disco Elysium, which hopefully goes better than last week. Next week, I think I'm only streaming on Friday, probably. I'll finalize those details probably by the end of the weekend, but my guess is that I'm streaming on Friday. You all can let me know on the Discord which game you would like to see on the one stream night. I feel like I know, but we'll find out. And I think that covers everything. So, if you're free tomorrow, join me for Disco Elysium. If nothing else, to see if I have multiple mental breakdowns again. Yay, awesome. Then, yeah, join me next Friday if you got time. In the meantime, thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. And I hope to see you again soon. Signing off for Murder by Numbers is me, VascoDaGamer. So until I see you next, take care of yourselves and remember that you are Classic.